Chapter 52. Lin Feng, how strong is your body's defense? Li Han asked. 18 titanium. Lin Feng answered truthfully. Everyone was stunned. Li Han secretly said, monster, and asked again, how strong is your arm's defense? How strong are your legs? This. Lin Feng was stumped by the question. Li Han smiled and said again, then how strong is your throat's defense? How strong is your eyes? Lin Feng was stunned. In a split second, his head exploded with a boom. Right, why didn't I think of that? Every part of the body has a different defense. Humans are like this. Magical beasts are naturally like that too. Have you thought it through? Li Han smiled. Lin Feng suddenly said, Brother Ox, you mean, as long as I can find the primary level general's weak point, I can kill it. The best way to kill a magical beast is to aim at its weak point. Li Han's eyes lit up, and he said seriously, you have to remember, magical beasts generally have 3 weak points, eyes, throat, and that place. Li Han said, and couldn't help but blink. Understand? Lin Feng was stunned, yet he glanced at Lu Qian and Qin Ro, whose faces were flushed red, and he instantly understood. Understood, Lin Feng said with a smile. At this time, the 2 girls' faces became even redder. Li Han lightly grunted and continued. As for the weak points, there are too many of them. Generally, the root of the tail, the abdomen, the mouth, the ears, etc. With your attack power, as long as you can attack the primary level general's weak point, it's enough to seriously injure or even kill it. At this moment, Lin Feng finally understood. No wonder Brother Ox said I used brute force. Lin Feng was obviously embarrassed. Now it seemed that he had indeed used all of his brute force. Not only did he not find the antelope Feng beast's weak point, he instead found its strongest and hardest point to attack. Truly, the ignorant are fearless. Lu Qian's face was still slightly red. The stronger a magical beast is, the bigger its body, and the easier it is to hit its weak points and weak points. However, demonic beasts generally protect their vitals very well. Only long-range attacks can hit them. Melee attacks are mainly aimed at the weak points in their defense. Understand? Understood. Lin Feng accepted humbly. He knew very well that this knowledge was invaluable combat experience. Take your time, Lu Qian said indifferently. Knowing is one thing, doing it is another. You'll naturally be able to master this kind of combat skill after practicing it for a while, Li Han said with a smile. Lin Feng nodded. It was the same as practicing the spear. After practicing for a long time, it would naturally become smoother, and then enlightenment. Let's go. Lu Qian revealed a rare smile. The Rocket Squad was obviously grooming Lin Feng as their future core. Along the way, Lu Qian and Li Han took turns teaching Lin Feng by example. They let Lin Feng know some of the most concise methods to deal with demonic beasts, as well as some combat experience. It did not matter, even if they wasted a lot of time on the way. Qin Ro's attitude towards Lin Feng had unknowingly changed. Wang Hao, on the other hand, was more jealous. Those who could enter the elite squad were all geniuses. However, there were 2 sides to a knife. Sometimes, superior talent brought about more than just potential. Having someone to guide him and fumbling by oneself were 2 completely different things. Lin Feng gradually understood that when hunting demonic beasts, one could not blindly rely on strength. Instead, one had to make every attack achieve the best effect. 20,000 gene of force landing on the antelope Feng beast's teeth was far inferior to 8,000 gene of force landing on the back of the antelope Feng beast's neck or tail. Not only did it save effort, but it was also safe. Attacks had to be straightforward and neat, but at the same time, they had to be efficient. 8 hours later. Ruins of Ir. Li Han's eyes were bright. We've arrived, Lu Qian murmured. Lin Feng took a deep breath. The air here was more spiritual than the air in the hunter's encampment. Even with every breath, Lin Feng could feel his body improving slightly. It was not an exaggeration at all. It was already nighttime. Looking over, one could see an incomparably huge metal ruin. Everywhere it was broken and scattered. Under the illumination of the stars, it emitted a sparkling and translucent luster. From time to time, the roars of demonic beasts could be heard. The stench was extremely strong. Lin Feng was stunned. This place was like an abandoned town. I heard from father that there was a prehistoric civilization here. Qin Rou said, as if she was talking to herself. Lin Feng looked over in surprise. Qin Rou immediately blushed and stomped her foot. I'm not talking to you. Lin Feng smiled. He knew that Qin Rou wanted to ease their relationship. A little girl's temper changed very quickly. He had learned this from his younger sister, Lin Shi, many times. And then, Lin Feng asked curiously. The civilization here was very advanced, but I don't know why it was destroyed. Qin Rou suddenly realized something and said coquettishly, Why should I answer you? Prehistoric civilization? Lin Feng shook his head. He felt that it was very mysterious. All right, everyone come over. Now, let's set the location and share the map. Lu Qian waved her hand. Everyone moved closer. Lin Feng also stepped forward. The function of the locator was to record the map and share the location of their companions. Vice Captain Lu Qian obviously had the most map information here. Soon, everyone set the location of their companions. This was to avoid being separated from each other in danger. Opening the fluorescent compass, Lin Feng casually glanced at it and was instantly stunned. As far as his eyes could see, it was a huge and miniature map of the city. Two large areas could be clearly seen. The inner area was densely packed, while the outer area was sparsely visible. The rocket squad had a total of 5 dots, including themselves, and they were all concentrated at the edge of the outer area. The most eye-catching and shocking thing was a red flame mark in the inner area. It was extremely bright red. This was not the map that Lu Qian had shared. He had glanced at Lu Qian's locator just now. There were only a few faint markings and paths. Not to mention the clear inner area. Even the outer area was hazy. Compared to the fluorescent compass, the difference was like the difference between a wooden house and a villa. What was going on? Lin Feng was shocked. This fluorescent compass was given by Xiao. Could it be? Lin Feng's heart trembled. At this moment, Lin Feng, what are you waiting for? Let's go. Li Han shouted from the front. Oh, Lin Feng hurriedly calmed himself down and caught up. At night, there are fewer demonic beasts out, Lu Qian reminded. But everyone still has to be careful of the surroundings. This is not the plains of Ur, where there is no end in sight. Lin Feng nodded. The plains and ruins were completely different fighting environments. Here, demonic beasts might dash out from behind the metal plates and the ruins if one was not careful. Here's the distribution ratio. 35% for me, 20% for Brave Bull, 15% for Wang Hao, and 10% for Qin Rou. Lu Qian paused and glanced at Lin Feng. She slowly said, Lin Feng, 20%. My distribution ratio is the same as Brother Bull's? Lin Feng was shocked. He did not expect that a newcomer like him would receive such treatment. Wang Hao could not help but feel anxious. Sister Qian, Lin Feng is a newcomer. How can he get 20% of the share? Li Han said in a deep voice. He gets the share according to his position. If Lin Feng is not a newcomer, how can he get 20% of the melee firepower? Lu Qian nodded. That's right. This is only a temporary distribution plan. It will change in the future as our strength changes. Wang Hao's expression was slightly ugly, but he did not say anything. As for Qin Rou, she did not care much about the share. Because of Lin Feng's participation, we have returned to the normal hunting mode. Li Han took out the pitch-black shield in front of him and shouted, Old rules. Wang Hao will lead the way. Qin Rou will be at the rear, I will guard the left, and Lin Feng will guard the right. Is there a problem? Lin Feng nodded. The normal hunting mode referred to the exploratory hunting. Because of the death of Captain Xiao Minghua, the rocket squad lacked melee firepower and could only use the squat hunting method. The difference in efficiency between the two was too great. No problem. Wang Hao shook his head. You're at the rear again. Qin Rou pouted. Then she scrunched her nose and glared at Lin Feng. Lin Feng was not there, so she was supposed to be the one at the right. Lin Feng smiled. Being at the rear was the least dangerous, but at the same time, the training was also the least. You can only be at the rear. Li Han's eyes flashed. Last time, because of your carelessness, Sister Qian was injured. Qin Rou blushed. She pursed her lips and mumbled, "I didn't say I wouldn't be at the rear." "Then that's that." Li Han nodded and said seriously, "Lin Feng, remember, as the melee firepower, your mission is very important. If Sister Qian can kill a low-level commander-level beast in one hit, then your mission is to kill the remaining high-level beast soldiers. If Sister Qian can't kill in one hit, then we can only rely on you. Of course, I will do my best to support you." "I understand." Lin Feng nodded. This pressure was very heavy, but he liked this feeling a lot. Compared to beast soldiers, beast generals were in the process of evolution. Not only did their strength increase greatly, but their intelligence also increased greatly. Normal commander-level magical beasts already had the intelligence of a human child. Apart from a few naturally reclusive commander-level magical beasts that like to travel alone, most commander-level magical beasts liked to have a large group of beast soldier subordinates. Hunting wasn't that easy. Therefore, a long-range firing point was essential for a small martial artist team. Lin Feng, don't underestimate Sister Qian. In a 4-star team, she is a sharpshooter that can be ranked in the top 5. Li Han smiled and shook his head, but girls are naturally weaker when it comes to strength, and we are indeed holding her back. I hope that with your addition, you can fully utilize Sister Qian's strength and let us return to the top 100. Li Han patted Lin Feng's shoulder. Lin Feng nodded. He felt that Li Han was now completely treating him as a comrade of equal strength. Very quickly, Lin Feng truly understood Lu Qian's nickname of Cloud-Piercing Arrow. It was indeed terrifying. She drew her bow, loaded the arrow, pulled back the string, and aimed. Her actions were done in one breath. The silver arrow was like a shooting star as it streaked across the sky. It was so fast that one could only hear the sound, but not see the shadow. It was as if it pierced through the sky and the clouds parted. Any single soldier-level beast that were within her sight were all pierced through the eyes and throat. Aiming for the vitals, looking at the blood all over the ground and the corpses that didn't even know how they died, Lin Feng sometimes felt his heart tremble. If Lu Qian were to shoot from 1,000 meters away, would he be able to dodge it? While he was in the dark, suddenly, Lu Qian, who was walking, stopped. Her eyes sparkled. Chapter 53. Everyone get ready. There's a low-level beast general in front. Lu Qian shouted softly. Wang Hao signaled us. It's a golden bison. There are 4 high-level beast soldiers around it. Huh, we are in luck. Li Han grinned. Although the golden bison's value is average, it is easy to kill. Plus, there are only 4 high-level beast soldiers. It's just enough for Brother Lin Feng to practice and get used to real hunting. Lin Feng's eyes flashed, and he nodded. In real hunting, it was rare to have a one-on-one situation. The leaping dragon spear in his hand vibrated slightly. Lin Feng's body was a little hot and excited. He followed the team forward for a few hundred meters. Soon, they found a metal pile about 20 meters high. Lu Qian lightly jumped a few times and stood on top of it. She raised the light green longbow with her left hand and took out a golden arrow with her right hand. She pulled the bowstring and aimed with her left hand. Arrows were the same as weapons. The better the arrow, the more powerful it was. But at the same time, it was also more expensive. 3 seconds, 10 seconds, 1 minute. Lu Qian maintained the same posture and didn't move at all. Lin Feng couldn't help but feel curious. Along the way, every time Sister Qian drew the bow, her movements were clean and smooth. Her movements were relaxed and pleasing to the eye. How come this time? Sister Qian is looking for an opportunity. Li Han focused and said, the first arrow is the most important. Because the magical beast is defenseless at this time, it is the easiest to injure or even kill it. If the arrow misses by even a centimeter, the result will be completely different. Lin Feng nodded and suddenly understood. The previous few times, she only killed high-level beast soldiers. With Sister Qian's strength, it was like playing. But this time, it was a low-level beast general. Staring at Lu Qian's arm, Lin Feng's eyes shone brightly. In a split second, her right arm that was frozen like a stone statue moved. She pulled the bowstring, knocked the bow, and tightened it in the blink of an eye. Her eyes suddenly opened, and her right hand released with a chong sound. The golden arrow was like a bright meteor, drawing a beautiful parabola. Only the sound of the arrow breaking through the air could be heard, but the arrow's shadow couldn't be seen at all. So beautiful, Lin Feng muttered. He wasn't talking about Lu Qian, but the way she drew the bow and shot the arrow like flowing water. No matter how many times he looked at it, it was still so shocking. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. Lu Qian's actions replayed in slow motion in his mind, scene by scene. Lin Feng had already memorized it. Roar, Aoo. In the distance, the roars of magical beasts could be heard almost instantaneously. Lu Qian raised her right thumb and smiled. However, she did not stop. She pulled out the silver arrow from her waist and shot another arrow. Done. Shoot him dead. Li Han laughed and patted Lin Feng's shoulder. Ha, Lin Feng, you're lucky. Thanks to you, Sister Qian is in great condition today. She only has a 30% chance of killing the golden bison. Get ready. Wang Hao has already started to lure the herd. All right. Lin Feng smiled. The most important thing in a small team was to perform their own duties. Lin Feng gazed at the rolling sand in front of him. He could vaguely see Wang Hao's figure. At this time, Li Han was already rushing forward with his shield. Lin Feng followed closely behind, and Qin Rou was at the back. They formed an arrow formation. Roar, roar, roar. The mighty group of beast soldiers attacked. There were common elementary bee soldiers, such as six-legged cats and saber-toothed hounds. There were also intermediate bee soldiers, such as red-spotted wild boars and flaming beasts. There were dozens of them. In the lead was a huge wild boar with red spots all over its body. Its iron hooves dug into the ground as it charged at the front. Lin Feng's eyes turned cold. High-level beast soldier, red-spotted wild boar. All of a sudden, a whoosh sound pierced through the air, and he saw a silver light flashed. The red-spotted wild boar roared fiercely. However, an arrow pierced through its nose, and it fell to the ground with a bang. While it was still twitching, the magical beast behind had already pressed forward and trampled it to pieces. Such a powerful arrow. Lin Feng's forehead was covered in cold sweat. Before he could react, 3 more silver lights flashed behind him. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The horde of beasts was instantly thrown into chaos. At this moment, intrepid Bully Han was already leading the charge. The pitch-black shield was waving in all directions. Instantly, the originally chaotic horde of beasts was broken into pieces. Lin Feng followed closely behind. The soaring dragon spear in his hand turned into a stream of light. Chi! Chi! It was as if they were back in the actual combat assessment. Lin Feng stepped forward and stabbed 3 times in a row. The 3 intermediate beast soldiers all fell to the ground. Brother Bull, I'm coming. With a smile, Lin Feng shook the soaring dragon spear in his hand. In a split second, it swung in a half circle. Blood sparkled. A cat-type magical beast the size of a calf suddenly appeared in front of him. It shuttled back and forth in the group of beasts. Its blue eyes emitted cold light. It was very fast and agile. Lin Feng's eyes brightened. High-level beast soldier, silver-clawed, blue-eyed cat. I'll leave it to you, Lin Feng. This is the only one left. Li Han laughed loudly. The pitch-black shield fiercely slashed a stream of energy and immediately repelled the silver-clawed, blue-eyed cat. Good chance. Lin Feng's right foot suddenly stepped forward. The frequency of his speed changed in a split second, leaving behind a series of afterimages. Fast, slow, slower, burst. Spear move, flash of light. The silver-clawed, blue-eyed cat, who was in mid-air, had no way of dodging. It let out a shrill cry and tried to use its silver claws to block the attack. However, it was instantly torn into pieces by the terrifying force of 20,000 Jin. Blood filled the air. Lin Feng was like the god of death descending to the world. Kill. Li Han lived up to his name of Intrepid Bull. He pulled out the huge axe on his back and started a massacre. Qin Rou and Wang Hao also joined the battle. Kill. Lin Feng smiled. He raised the soaring dragon spear in his hand again and stabbed left and right. It was as if he was invincible. Invincible. So easy. Li Han smiled as he cut the red-striped skin on the back of the red-patterned boar's neck. Thanks to Sister Qian, only one of the 4 high-rank beast soldiers is left. Lin Feng couldn't help but sigh. Although Sister Qian was a weak woman, her firepower was too fierce. First, she directly killed the beginner-level commander level golden wild bull from a distance. Then, she hunted the red-patterned boar and the other 2 high-rank beast soldiers. In the end, he and Brother Bull only had to clean up the mess. Don't underestimate yourself. Li Han shook his head. This silver-clawed blue-eyed cat is extremely fast. It's one of the more powerful high-rank beast soldiers. It's not easy to kill at all. No matter if it's me, Wang Hao, or Qin Ro, none of us have the confidence to kill it easily, especially since it's extremely cunning. In a chaotic battle, if we're not careful, we might get injured. Lin Feng nodded. Indeed, that silver-clawed blue-eyed cat was much more agile than the 6-legged cat. Cat-type magical beasts were known for their fast speed and agility. The feeling of having a main attacker is indeed different. Li Han laughed. Soon after, his tone changed. But Lin Feng, although your performance in the first battle just now wasn't bad, there are 2 points that you need to improve on. Brother Bull, please speak. Lin Feng nodded. He understood that as a newcomer, he still had a lot of shortcomings. Li Han opened his mouth. First, don't get too excited while killing. Your attack power is strong, but your defense is the weakest in the team. Remember, don't be too far away from me. If there's any danger, I can immediately support you. Lin Feng smiled embarrassedly. Just now, he really did get too excited while killing. After all, it's hard for 2 fists to fight against 4 hands. Not to mention high-rank beast soldiers, even mid-rank beast soldiers could injure him. Second, you need to learn how to control your stamina. Li Han said seriously, everyone's stamina is limited. The more power you use, the more stamina you will use. Especially when you use your maximum power, your stamina will be exhausted very quickly. Your maximum power is 20,000 Jin. The stamina you use is enough for you to use 10 attacks of 15,000 Jin. Do you understand? Lin Feng nodded. When he killed the silver-clawed blue-eyed cat just now, he used his maximum power. He understood what Brother Bull meant. In fact, 15,000 Jin of power was already enough to kill, but he could save 90% of his stamina. This was the same principle as attacking a vital point. However, ever since he became a fire spirit master, his stamina had never been exhausted. His body was absorbing elemental fire all the time. The stamina he lost would be replenished in an instant. But other warriors obviously didn't have this benefit. After killing the golden wild bull, the rocket team completed 2 perfect kills in a row. Just as Li Han said, thanks to Lin Feng, Sister Qian's condition today was extremely good. With close combat firepower, Lu Qian could completely let go of her hands and feet. This naturally had a great impact. In a ruined building, the members of the rocket squad were resting and recuperating. After continuous battles, everyone's stamina was almost exhausted. Especially the 3rd battle, where they killed close to 100 beast soldiers. I take back what I said just now. Lin Feng is simply a monster. Li Han smiled bitterly. I'm about to collapse from exhaustion, but this guy still has so much stamina. This is completely illogical. Close combat firepower should consume the most stamina. No team spirit at all. He actually ran off to find prey by himself. Qin Ro pouted. Don't ask us to save him when he's in danger. Wang Hao sighed and shook his head. Lu Qian rubbed her numb right arm. Her gaze swept over Qin Ro and Wang Hao. She said coldly, shut up. Aren't you ashamed of saying such things? Without Lin Feng, would we be able to hunt so easily and smoothly today? If it weren't for Lin Feng, would you still be sitting here peacefully and unharmed? A person should have a conscience. These 2 little guys are really ignorant. Li Han snorted. Qin Ro blushed. She couldn't help but lower her head. The jealousy in Wang Hao's eyes deepened. Updated on time. Looking for recommendation votes on time. Thank you, Carrot Carrot. Chapter 54. Late at night, in the ruins of air. Dodging movement technique. Attacking movement technique. Lin Feng thought as he dodged the fierce attack of a golden-furred white ape with ease. Although the golden-furred white ape's attacks were as fierce as lightning, they were not a threat to him at all. I have already reached the proficient level of movement technique. The key is how to fuse the two together and achieve a perfect connection. Although they got off to a good start in the ruins of air, and the first 3 battles were very smooth, Lin Feng clearly understood that the rocket squad would not always be so smooth. If Sister Qian was unable to kill a low-level beast general, then the heavy burden would be on him. Even if it was a heavily injured low-level beast general, it would not be easy to kill it. Captain Xiao was able to kill 80% of low-level beast generals by himself with 20,000 gene of strength. He relied on the proficient level of movement technique. If he can do it, then so can I. Lin Feng's heart was incomparably strong because of his family. This was an indispensable condition for an expert. The close combat firepower was one of the souls of a warrior squad. It was just like starting a family. In close combat, the close combat firepower point would bear the fate of the entire martial artist squad. Chi, the leaping dragon spear in his hand, casually swept across the golden-furred white ape's throat. Fresh blood splattered. Lin Feng stood calmly and shook his head. Mid-level beast soldiers are much weaker than me. This kind of training is meaningless. But looking for high-level beast soldiers to train, I'm afraid it's too dangerous. Although he had the protection of the 3 layers of titanium energy suit and the white python armor, training and actual combat were different. Training was an experiment. There would be considerable danger. Lin Feng frowned. Suddenly, his eyes lit up. I got it. I can find more mid-level beast soldiers. The training effect might be better. With his thoughts set, Lin Feng quickly went to find prey. At dawn, in a sealed metal ruin of about 100 square meters, Lin Feng was being attacked by 5 white spirit cats and 5 black feathered cats. Although the white python armor on his body was not damaged, it was full of marks. To be able to leave marks on the white python armor with high-level astral weapon defense, one could see how many times Lin Feng had been attacked. White spirit cat and black feathered cat. Although they were the most common mid-level beast soldiers, cat-type magical beasts were good at dodging and were extremely agile. In terms of speed, they were comparable to ordinary high-level beast soldiers. At this moment, Lin Feng's face had an additional deep wound, but he still had a smile on his face as his eyes flickered with light. No wonder the prerequisite for the body movement technique to reach the proficient level is to reach the basic level. So, the key is to perfectly control the speed and frequency. There are benefits to being fast, but there are also benefits to being slow. Blindly being fast will have a huge impact on the next step, especially when it comes to fusing movement and footwork. They saw Lin Feng sometimes took a step to the left and sometimes to the right. Sometimes he twisted his waist and leaned his body to one side. With such slight movements, the 10 white spirit cats and the black feathered cat couldn't even touch Lin Feng's body. Looking carefully, Lin Feng was actually pacing in a circle with a diameter of no more than 1 meter. It was extremely amazing. You have to dodge fast, but your movements must be small. You have to move fast, but the moment before you switch, you have to be slow. A white spirit cat hit empty air with its claws just now. In a split second, a cold light flashed. Lin Feng, who was still dodging just now, had unknowingly shot out his spear as fast as lightning. Chi! The spear pierced the belly and blood splattered. A fatal blow. This is the weak side attack that Brother Nyo was talking about. That shot just now, I only used 50% of my strength. Including the attack coefficient of the spear, it was only 3,000 pounds, but it effortlessly killed a white spirit cat. Lin Feng was extremely emotional. Just as Lu Qian said, it was easier said than done. It was easier said than done to find the weak side of a magical beast and kill it. The magical beasts that lived in the endless wilderness were the survival of the fittest. How could they be so stupid as to not protect their weakness. But once you attack, the weak side of the defense will be exposed. The key is to grasp that point that time. Therefore, the range of dodging must be simplified as much as possible so that the transition between attack and defense can be faster. While speaking, Lin Feng simply turned sideways and pierced the ear of a black feathered cat with the leaping dragon spear in his hand. I think I am gradually understanding the feeling of proficient level. Lin Feng's face revealed a confident smile. This night's training was very beneficial to him. He finally began to understand. It was 9 o'clock in the morning. The sun was dazzling. Lin Feng held the leaping dragon spear in his hand and stood in front of a metal ruin. The tip of the spear was still dripping with blood, and there was a thick smell of blood all around. It was a mess. High-level bee soldier, blazing bull, silver-clawed blue-eyed cat. Middle-level bee soldier, raging flame beast, red-spotted wild boar. There were a total of 13 corpses lying in a pool of blood. Among them, there were a total of 5 high-level bee soldiers. Phew! Looking up at the sky, Lin Feng let out a long breath. Finally, I can use 100% of my strength. My movement technique should be considered as proficient level, but unfortunately, it is not easy to reach the small success level and combine it with the spear to unleash the full attack power. Lin Feng sighed slightly and immediately revealed a smile. Basically, he was already very satisfied. From basic level to proficient level, the increase in strength, it was more than double. Oh no, I have been out for too long. Sister Qian, Brother Bull, and the others must be worried sick. Lin Feng smiled bitterly. He had been practicing too much and completely forgot about other things. Lin Feng turned on the fluorescent compass. Beep, beep, beep. Lin Feng took a look. Sister Qian twice, Brother Bull 3 times, Wang Hao once, Qinro 5 times? Lin Feng was stunned. Brother Bull had the best relationship with him. It was normal to call him 3 times, but Qinro. Strange. I really can't guess the temper of a little girl. Lin Feng shook his head. Kid, you are finally willing to come back, Bull Lihan laughed. Sorry, everyone. I was delayed for a while. Lin Feng glanced at the members of the rocket squad and apologized. It was indeed his fault. The squad usually rested for 1 to 4 hours, but he had been away for nearly 4 hours. But there was no other way. Comprehension was about feeling. If he missed it, he might not have the chance next time. It's okay. Lu Qian nodded. Wang Hao frowned slightly, but since the vice captain had spoken, he naturally had nothing to say. It doesn't matter. Li Han laughed heartily. The effect of practicing Yuan Qi here is excellent, mainly because the young lady is worried that something will happen to you. With that, Li Han glanced sideways, and Lin Feng also looked at Qinro. The little girl suddenly blushed and said angrily, Stupid bull. I am worried about the safety of my companions, am I wrong? Lin Feng smiled. In fact, he had long seen that Qinro was just as Brother Bull said. Except for a little temper, she was not a bad person. Yes. Lu Qian smiled indifferently and smoothed things over. She glanced at the wound on Lin Feng's face. Are you okay? It's just a superficial wound. Lin Feng smiled. The most important thing is that you have enough physical strength. Li Han said seriously. You're the point of close combat firepower. You must not be careless. Don't worry, Brother Bull. Lin Feng smiled indifferently. After a night of practice, Lin Feng not only improved his strength, but also his confidence. He was no longer as hesitant as before. The position of close combat firepower, he definitely had the ability to sit there. Lu Qian's beautiful eyes flashed. She did not know why, but although only 8 hours had passed, she felt that Lin Feng seemed to have changed into a different person. Is it an illusion? Lu Qian shook her head and threw this thought to the back of her mind. Focus. There are many magical beasts during the day. Li Han shouted as he walked. Lin Feng's eyes were like torches as he observed the surroundings, his expression serious. Night was the time for magical beasts to rest, but day was the time for magical beasts to move. The ruins of E-Air and E-Airplanes were 2 completely different geographical environments. The airplanes could be seen at a glance, and magical beasts and warriors could not possibly hide there. However, the ruins of air was full of obstacles, and a magical beast could suddenly jump out from a pile of ruins. Lin Feng had suffered this before, and the scar on his face last night was because of it. The group walked cautiously for a quarter of an hour. Suddenly, Lu Qian stopped. "Everyone get ready." Lu Qian shouted softly, her expression serious. "It's the Iron Ridge Mountain Boar King. There are 16 high-grade beasts around." Li Han and Qin Ro's expression changed slightly. Lin Feng also took a deep breath. The Iron Ridge Mountain Boar King was extremely huge, 7 meters long and 4 meters tall. It was like a small mountain, and its defense was extremely shocking. Most importantly, its appearance would definitely be accompanied by a large number of high-grade beasts. Iron Ridge Mountain Boar. Should we kill it? Lu Qian was slightly hesitant. Li Han and Qin Ro looked at each other, also unable to make a decision. Lin Feng understood everyone's thoughts and concerns. The Iron Ridge Mountain Boar King was very valuable. The value of one boar was comparable to 10 of the golden wild bulls they killed yesterday. Even the skin of the Iron Ridge Mountain Boar was an excellent material for making armor, and there were 16 of them. But it was very difficult to kill it. If we can kill it, we'll get close to 3,000 Tian Wu coins. Our monthly income is not that much. Li Han gritted his teeth, also hesitating. The chance of killing it is less than 5%, and the chance of heavily injuring it is only 35%. Lu Qian spat out a few numbers. The Iron Ridge Mountain Boar King's defense was extremely strong. In a split second, the three of them looked at Lin Feng, asking for his opinion. Although Lin Feng was still a newbie, he was already one of the pillars of the rocket squad. Close combat, firepower. Lin Feng looked at Lu Qian and said indifferently, "If it's Brother Hua, will you kill it?" Everyone was stunned. Lu Qian bit her lips, hesitated for a moment, and said, "Definitely." Lin Feng's eyes shone, and the leaping dragon spear in his hand made a clang sound. "Then let's kill it." Unknowingly, I'm already third on the new book list. I'm ashamed. Thanks for everyone's support. Carrot, 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 carrot. Chapter 55. Looking at Lin Feng's confident appearance with the soaring dragon spear in his hand, Lu Qian was stunned. At that moment, she felt as if she had returned to the past, to the days when she fought alongside Broho. You can't catch a wolf without risking your life. Let's do it, Li Han said. Lin Feng smiled and glanced at Qinro. The little girl blushed. It's just a few stupid pigs. I'm not afraid. Since they had reached a consensus, they no longer hesitated. Soon, Lu Qian took the high position. She took out a light green bow, drew it, and aimed. Her expression gradually became serious. Lin Feng stared at Lu Qian's cold face. Waiting for the moment, she fired her arrow. The first arrow was the most important. 1 minute, 2 minutes. Lu Qian did not move. It was as if she had turned into a stone statue. However, her eyes were shining brightly. She was waiting for the best opportunity. In a split second, Lu Qian moved. In Lin Feng's eyes, Lu Qian's extremely fast shooting motion was broken down into slow motion. Her right arm swung, knocked the bowstring, drew the bow, and tightened the bow in the blink of an eye. Her eyes shone brightly. In a split second, her right hand released the bowstring. The entire set of movements was done in one go. It was as smooth as flowing water. It was precise to perfection. What a beautiful movement! Lin Feng praised softly. At that moment, roar, roar. In the distance, the Iron Ridge Boar's roar seemed to tear the sky apart. Lin Feng's eyes turned cold. He saw Lu Qian pursing her lips. She clenched her right fist and swung it. It's done. Lin Feng was delighted. With the Iron Ridge Boar King's defense, it was extremely difficult to kill it in one shot. Being able to injure it with the first arrow was already more than enough. At that moment, Lu Qian did not stop. She pulled out the silver arrow from her waist and shot another arrow. There were 12 high-grade Iron Ridge Boars. She wanted to kill as many as she could. Let's go, Lin Feng. That Iron Ridge Mountain Boar King is already heavily injured. Li Han's gaze was stern as he instructed, "Later, I will hold the Iron Ridge Boar King back. You go and kill the Iron Ridge Boar first. Then, together with Qin Ro and Wang Hao, we will clean up the other Iron Ridge Boars. Lastly, we will gather our strength and grind the Iron Ridge Boar King to death." "All right," Lin Feng nodded. Clenching the leaping dragon spear, Lin Feng stepped forward. Even though Li Han's tactics were perfect, he didn't want to fight like that. Lin Feng's eyes flashed with a burning fighting spirit. He had already made his decision. If it was a day ago, he probably wouldn't even have the slightest chance. But now it was completely different. Hee-hee-dong, thump-thump. The astonishing herd of Steel Ridge mountain boars covered the sky as they charged over. Although their speed was not fast, their humongous size caused one's heart to tremble. Wang Hao sprinted madly. In comparison, he looked like a tiny dot. Dust billowed behind him. The herd of Steel Ridge mountain boars was already enraged. Lin Feng quickly saw the Iron Ridge Boar King. It was right in the middle of the herd of Steel Ridge mountain boars. Its body was at least twice the size of the other Steel Ridge mountain boars. Its right eye was stained with blood. More than half of the golden arrows had sunk into its body. It roared continuously, looking extremely ferocious. At this moment, Lu Qian's arrows did not stop. Every flash of silver light caused chaos in the herd of Steel Ridge mountain boars. The distance of 1,000 meters was covered in the blink of an eye. Li Han roared. The pitch-black shield in his hand, that was half the height of a person, vibrated with a clang sound as he charged forward. Close quarters combat. Low-level beast general. Lin Feng's eyes shone with a sharp light. He smiled faintly. "I haven't killed one yet." Whoosh! The sound of something breaking through the air rang out. Lin Feng stomped his legs and shot out like an arrow leaving the bow. He wanted to fight this Iron Ridge Mountain Boar King. Rumble. Li Han was indeed worthy of the name Intrepid Bull. Even though he was not good at attacking, he was still a true martial grandmaster. His strength of over 10,000 Jin was like a mountain breaking all. He drilled into the herd of Steel Ridge mountain boars, causing chaos in the herd of Steel Ridge mountain boars. Lin Feng followed closely behind. He was like an assassin, looking for an opportunity. Good chance. Lin Feng's eyes shone. He immediately found an Iron Ridge mountain boar that had lost its balance. He took a simple step, and the leaping dragon spear in his hand pierced forward like lightning. Chi! In a split second, blood splattered everywhere. The leaping dragon spear pierced through the Iron Ridge mountain boar's neck cleanly. Li Han was shocked. To the right, Lin Feng's eyes lit up. He saw another Iron Ridge mountain boar. Its back was covered in blood. It was obviously injured by Lu Qian's arrow. The leaping dragon spear swept across and opened up a space of attack. Lin Feng took 2 steps forward and landed in front of the Iron Ridge mountain boar. Li Han was shocked. At this moment, the injured Iron Ridge mountain boar was already charging towards him. However, Lin Feng leaned his body slightly and dodged the attack by a hair's breadth. In a split second, a cold light flashed. Chi! The Iron Ridge mountain boar was dead. In the blink of an eye, 2 high-level B soldiers were killed. Proficient level body movement technique. Li Han's forehead was covered in cold sweat. He knew Lin Feng's strength better than anyone else. Even though he was talented, his body movement technique and footwork were only at the foundation level. How could it be? At this moment, Lin Feng killed the 3rd Iron Ridge mountain boar. He was as fast as lightning. Yes, last night. Li Han's eyes widened in shock. 8 hours. His body movement technique advanced to the proficient level. Even though Li Han was experienced, he could not help but tremble in fear. Chi! After Lin Feng killed the 4th Iron Ridge mountain boar, his gaze was fixed on the Iron Ridge mountain boar king not far away. You're the one. Lin Feng suddenly increased his speed. The leaping dragon spear in his hand pierced through all the obstacles in front of him. Soon, Lin Feng arrived in front of the Iron Ridge mountain boar king. Lin Feng. Li Han's eyes were filled with shock. He did not expect Lin Feng to be so daring as to hunt the Iron Ridge mountain boar king alone. Looking at the Iron Ridge mountain boar king up close, Lin Feng was even more shocked. So big. It was as big as a small mountain. The Iron Ridge Mountain Boar King lowered its head and charged towards Lin Feng, its bloody eye looking even more ferocious. With a light snort, Lin Feng took 2 steps back and dodged the attack. He glanced at the Iron Ridge Mountain Boar King and immediately locked onto the attacking position, the root of its tail. Unlike the thin scales on its abdomen, the Iron Ridge Mountain Boar King had a small piece of exposed flesh at the root of its tail. It was undoubtedly the best place to attack. That's it. Lin Feng's footsteps changed abruptly. He moved sideways and dodged the Iron Ridge Mountain Boar King's 2 attacks. His left leg stomped on the ground, and his body retreated like the wind. The leaping dragon spear in his hand did not stop for even a second. Like a sharp arrow, it pierced the Iron Ridge Mountain Boar King's tail. Puff! Less than half of the spear went in. Roar! Roar! The Iron Ridge Mountain Boar King roared crazily. Blood flowed out, but it was still heavily injured. It was not dead. What a strong defense. Lin Feng immediately pulled out the leaping dragon spear. No wonder Sister Qian couldn't kill it. Not only is the Iron Ridge Mountain Boar King's defense strong, its body is also too big. A big body meant that its vital points were very deep. My current attack power is around 6,300 pounds. It's hard to kill it directly. In the dark, Lin Feng dodged the Iron Ridge Mountain Boar King's attack. Suddenly, he saw half of the golden arrow. His eyes lit up. That's it. He moved sideways. Lin Feng dodged the Iron Ridge Mountain Boar King's crazy attack again. It was obviously very easy for him. Due to the Iron Ridge Mountain Boar King's huge body, its speed was not fast. Especially after it was heavily injured, its speed was almost the same as a normal high-level beast soldier. Boom! The Iron Ridge Mountain Boar King hit the ground. Lin Feng moved half a step and dodged the attack. At that moment, the Iron Ridge Mountain Boar King's weakness was exposed. Now, Lin Feng's eyes shone brightly. He took a step forward with his right foot. Bang! The explosive force was extremely shocking. The leaping dragon spear in his hand turned into a ray of silver light. Lin Feng's target was the Iron Ridge Mountain Boar King's injured right eye. Clang! A crisp sound rang out. The golden arrow's tail was hit by a huge force and completely sank into the eye. Roar! Roar! Ha! The Iron Ridge Mountain Boar King trembled violently. Its hoarse voice became weaker and weaker. Suddenly, with a loud boom, its huge body fell to the ground. It twitched a few times before it stopped breathing. It died a tragic death. Lu Qian, Li Han, Qin Rou, and Wang Hao all widened their eyes. They sucked in a breath of cold air and stood rooted to the ground. Heavens! Lin Feng killed the Iron Ridge Mountain Boar King alone? Lin Feng, your movement technique has reached the proficient level? Li Han asked hesitantly. Yes, I've just started. Lin Feng nodded. Everyone looked at each other. Wang Hao lowered his head and mumbled, I've never heard of an intermediate martial warrior reaching the proficient level. Lu Qian and Li Han were also shocked speechless. Indeed, it was rare for a martial warrior to reach the proficient level, let alone Lin Feng. He was only an intermediate martial warrior. In just 8 hours last night? Li Han couldn't believe it. Lin Feng smiled. Actually, it's all thanks to Brother Niu and Sister Qian's guidance. Otherwise, I wouldn't have improved so quickly. Indeed, Lin Feng was telling the truth. Sister Qian and Brother Niu had contributed greatly to the improvement of his movement technique. All right, don't be humble. It's your ability. A rare smile appeared on Lu Qian's iceberg-like face. In the future, our rocket squad will have a real close combat firepower. As Lin Feng's strength increases, our squad's strength will also increase greatly. Sister, there are still 4 months left. With big brother Lin Feng, Qin Rou said. She couldn't help but blush. Do you think we could get to the top 100 with our points? Big brother Lin Feng? Hearing this affectionate address, Lin Feng couldn't help but smile. Although it was a little awkward, no matter what, Qin Rou's hostility towards him had disappeared. It was indeed a good thing. Definitely. Li Han laughed. If we work hard together, Maybe we can get into the top 10 next year. Lu Qian's eyes lit up. Her goal was to one day enter the Scorching Sun sect, one of the 5 major sects. 2 years ago, because the squad was not strong enough, there was no chance to make a breakthrough. But now, because of Lin Feng, she seemed to see hope. In the future, the distribution of the spoils will return to normal. Lu Qian said, Lin Feng and I will take 30%, Brave Bull will take 20%, Qinro and Wang Hao will take 10%. Any objections? Everyone shook their heads. Although Wang Hao was unwilling, there was nothing he could do. Lin Feng smiled faintly. He was also satisfied. This 30% share was not difficult for him to take. He had the strength. Firmament, Sun Marshall Gate, 1st floor. Brother Feng. Boss, you're all dawdling. Zhu Feng the greedy wolf curled his lips and glanced at everyone. He frowned slightly. Where did Silver Wolf go? Boss, the vice captain went to the hunter mission hall. Why did he go there? Zhu Feng the greedy wolf was stunned, but he couldn't be bothered to answer. Soon, he and the rest of the greedy wolf squad passed through the hall and entered the teleportation point to the ruins of air. However, as soon as they walked in, Zhu Feng the greedy wolf was stunned. There was a sea of people. After all, using the teleportation array took only the blink of an eye. Basically, every teleportation point was empty. But now, the teleportation point of the ruins of air was extremely abnormal. What happened in the ruins of air? Zhu Feng the greedy wolf was stunned. New book is almost over. Looking for recommendation votes. Chapter 56. Because a spirit beast appeared. A gloomy voice suddenly sounded. Zhu Feng and the rest of the greedy wolf squad all turned their heads and saw a man in silver armor walking over with a black bow on his back. Silver Wolf, Yin Ping. Vice Captain, what did you say, Silver Wolf? Zhu Feng's eyes darkened. A spirit beast appeared in the ruins of air? Yin Ping nodded. That's why I went to the hunter mission hall. It was a 5-star mission. If I wasn't a 5-star hunter, I wouldn't have been able to accept it. A 5-star hunter meant that he or she had hunted a mid-level general-level magical beast. Zhu Feng's eyes brightened. What kind of mutated magical beast was it? Yin Ping smiled. A mountain lizard that mutated into a Xuanku lizard. No wonder it's only a 5-star mission. Zhu Feng smiled. The mountain lizard was originally at the bottom of the low-level generals. Its movements were slow, and its body was big. After it mutated into the Xuanku lizard, its defense increased several times, but its speed was still slow. An average mid-level martial grandmaster with an expert level movement technique will be able to take care of it. Captain, with your strength and our cooperation, we'll definitely be able to take care of it. Yin Ping's lips curled. How's the reward? Zhu Feng nodded. 50,000 Tian Wu coins and 1,000 contribution points. Yin Ping's eyes lit up. Everyone in the greedy wolf squad sucked in a cold breath. The price was comparable to a high-level beast weapon. It was already shocking enough. The most shocking thing was the contribution points. One had to know that killing a low-level horde leader wasn't much at all. Then what are we waiting for? Zhu Feng's eyes flashed. He shouted, "Let's go." 2 days later, in the ruins of air, 2 golden wild bulls. Li Han cut off the horns of the huge corpses and smiled. As expected, the deeper we go, the more low-level generals there are. Thanks to Lin Feng. Lu Qian smiled. If he wasn't able to kill the golden wild bulls alone, we would have to avoid them. Lin Feng smiled. It's because everyone cooperated well. As he spoke, the dagger in his hand neatly cut off the horns of the golden wild bull and stood up. He was not being modest. In fact, without Sister Qian's long-range firepower and Brother Bull's restraint, he would not be able to kill so many demonic beasts alone. What's missing? Lin Feng pondered as he looked at the leaping dragon spear in his hand. In the past 2 days, his progress had stagnated. Although he still trained alone in his free time, it didn't help much. Thinking about how to advance your body movement technique to lesser mastery again. Li Han patted Lin Feng's shoulder and shook his head with a smile. You little monster, you really can't rest for a moment. You're so greedy. Advancing from novice to minor accomplishment from proficient level is harder than advancing from basic level to proficient level. Back then, Brotherhood was stuck at this bottleneck for 2 years and still couldn't break through. Lin Feng nodded. I believe that as I continue to fight, I will slowly understand it. Qin Ro also smiled cheerfully. That's right. Dad said that there is no shortcut to understanding body movement technique. You can only slowly understand it through actual combat. Looking at Qin Ro, Lin Feng nodded softly and smiled. In the past 2 days, he had gained something. In addition to killing countless demonic beasts, his relationship with Qin Ro had gradually improved. However, Lin Feng glanced at Wang Hao, who had a calm expression, and sighed softly in his heart. Wang Hao was the only one who still kept a distance from him. At night, Lin Feng and the others rested in a ruined metal building. Hanyo, don't you feel that today is a little strange? Lu Qian moved her numb right arm. She had just finished 4 consecutive battles and was very tired. Hey, I think so. Li Han, who was eating his dry food, was stunned. He immediately said, Sister Qian, I didn't think so before you mentioned it. Now that you mention it, we seem to have encountered more than 10 teams of martial artists today. Everyone's expression changed slightly. Lu Qian nodded. Let me ask. Lin Feng drank water and couldn't help but ask curiously, is it strange that we encountered so many martial artists? Wang Hao sneered. Li Han said seriously, Lin Feng, you are still inexperienced, so you don't know. The ruins of is extremely large. Just the outer layer alone is dozens of times larger than Cloud Sun City. Normally, it's not easy to see a team of martial artists. Today, we saw more than 10 teams. Don't you think it's strange? Lin Feng was enlightened and instantly understood. It was just like how the rocket team disbanded after entering Cloud Sun City and scattered in every corner of the city. It was difficult to find each other. Although there were many teams of martial artists that entered the ruins of the outer layer alone was dozens of times larger than Cloud Sun City. It was normal to not see a single team of martial artists in a day. Maybe something happened, Qin Ro murmured. At this time, Lu Qian had already turned off her communicator. Her beautiful eyes swept across everyone. Spirit beasts appeared in the ruins of Spirit beasts? Were those demonic beasts? Lin Feng was surprised. Spirit beasts are a very special type of demonic beast. Lu Qian looked at Lin Feng and said slowly, Lin Feng, do you know about the existence of celestial spirit masters? Celestial spirit masters? Lin Feng was startled, then he smiled. How could he not know? Lu Qian continued, spirit beasts and demonic beasts are like the difference between celestial spirit masters and martial artists. Some gifted demonic beasts will continuously absorb elemental energy and awaken a mysterious force in their bodies. It will turn into an inner core and become a spirit beast. Due to different physiques, the inner cores formed are different. There are 5 types of spirit beasts: metal spirit beasts, wood spirit beasts, earth spirit beasts, water spirit beasts, and fire spirit beasts are the same as celestial spirit masters. The inner cores of spirit beasts are extremely valuable. Lin Feng nodded and understood. Obviously, these spirit beasts were special demonic beasts that had awakened their talents. Spirit beasts should be very strong, right? Lin Feng asked. Of course. Li Han smiled. Look at celestial spirit masters. Which one of them isn't in existence that can summon the wind and summon the rain? If one day I can get to know one, this old bull will be awe-inspiring. Stupid bull loves to daydream, Qin Ro said with a smile. Lu Qian also smiled. Spirit beasts are indeed strong, but that's in the deepest part of the endless wilderness. If a spirit beast appears here, the hunter organization will immediately issue a mission, just like now. Many hunter teams will flock here. A newly awakened spirit beast isn't much of a threat. At most, its body will be strengthened, and it can use the simplest form of spirit energy. Lin Feng smiled. It sounded similar to a celestial spirit master. It was just like how his body had been strengthened when the yin fire seed had just awakened. Perhaps he could play with fire, but to truly use it would take a long time. I heard it's a 5-star mission. I don't know the details, but Lucian shook her head. That's already beyond our capabilities. Besides, there are so many warrior teams and hunter teams fighting for it. It won't be our turn. We should fight steadily and surely. Our current situation is quite good. Li Han laughed. He was already very satisfied with the results of the past 2 days. After Lin Feng finished drinking water and eating his rations, he stood up and stretched his muscles with the leaping dragon spear. You're going again? Li Han stared at him. Lin Feng smiled and nodded. Spirit beasts had nothing to do with him. What he was thinking about now was how to improve his body movement technique to the small success level. Whoosh! Whoosh! The sharp sound of a gunshot rang out, accompanied by the roar of a demonic beast. It was especially loud in this quiet night. I'm already very familiar with the transition between my body movement technique and my footwork. After the transition, I can still use the spear moves, but the speed and frequency are completely wrong. If I can't combine them perfectly, then it's a failure. At this moment, there was a sea of blood around Lin Feng. There were dozens of corpses of demonic beasts everywhere. If one looked carefully, in addition to 6 high-level beast soldiers, there was also a demonic beast with a rather prominent figure, beginner-level beast general, Silverite Mountain Ape. After 2 days of fighting, Lin Feng's understanding of the expert level body movement technique had deepened. As long as it wasn't a beast with an abnormal defense like the Iron Ridge Mountain Boar King, he could already kill an ordinary beginner-level beast general by himself. In here, the speed of my body's improvement is too astonishing. Holding the leaping dragon spear, Lin Feng muttered to himself. He could feel his body absorbing elemental energy at every moment and constantly strengthening. Although only 3 days had passed, Lin Feng felt that his body's quality had improved a lot. The strength of my last spear move should have reached 4,800 Gene, the standard of a high-level warrior. If I use transient light stream now, my attack should be able to easily break through 20,000, right? With a smile, Lin Feng held the leaping dragon spear with one hand and lightly hummed. A familiar feeling came to his mind. In order to hone his expert level body movement technique, he hadn't felt this kind of feeling in a long time. In a split second, Lin Feng twisted the leaping dragon spear in his hand and pushed it forward. His right foot fiercely stepped forward, thrusting forward like lightning. Silver light spread out, as if a silver dragon was piercing through the air. Bang! It sounded like rolling thunder. The air vibrated. Lin Feng was extremely satisfied with the power of his spear move. Just as he retracted his steps, Lin Feng suddenly stared blankly. My speed. Just now, I didn't reach my limit? Lin Feng stared blankly. In a split second, his eyes lit up, pleasantly surprised. That's right, it's because the speed and frequency of the two are completely different. No wonder no matter how I fuse, it's out of place. Attack steps, every additional step is a completely different body movement technique. Lin Feng suddenly understood and nodded repeatedly. It was like a painting, one more stroke, one less stroke. Perhaps one couldn't tell if one looked carefully, but in reality, however, it was already a completely different painting. I understand now. This is the rhythm that Sister Qin mentioned. It's a rhythm that is completely different from the speed and frequency. One is a point, and the other is a line. Lin Feng nodded repeatedly, his eyes shining. At this moment, he finally had an epiphany. First, I'll practice Flash of Flowing Light. I'm most familiar with this move. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. First, I have to let the flash of flowing light reach its maximum speed. In this way, I can exert the maximum power, and the instantaneous explosive force of the synchronized attack is also consistent. Moreover, I have to integrate the 2 different speed changes into the same rhythm. Now that he had made up his mind, his thoughts became clearer and clearer. Lin Feng completely understood the direction he should take. The rest was just practice, practice, and practice, until he understood. 6 hours later. That's it. It's perfect. Putting away his spear, Lin Feng chuckled softly. He was in a good mood. Although he was still a little unfamiliar with it, He could already fully perform flash of flowing light and combine it with the expert-level body movement technique. This was definitely a big breakthrough. Although he couldn't be considered to have entered the small success, at least he had stepped through the door. The rest was just a matter of time. I'm 2 hours late again. Lin Feng turned on the fluorescent compass and smiled helplessly. But Sister Qian and the others should be used to it. Sure enough, there was only a beep sound. Qinro, that girl. Lin Feng turned off the message and was about to set off. However, his eyes suddenly caught a glimpse of, on the fluorescent compass, there was a small yellow square that was extremely close to him. What's this? Lin Feng couldn't help but be stunned, weakly asking for a recommendation vote. Chapter 57. Lin Feng was sure that he did not see wrongly. On the map, the rocket squad was currently 6,000 meters north of him, and that yellow square that was located at 10,000 meters to the northwest. It was a short distance away. I remember when I opened the map for the first time, there was no yellow Lin Feng thought. Opening the map, in a split second, the entire ruins of Ir appeared. The inner area was densely packed with steel buildings, and at the center, a fiery red symbol was still clearly visible, like a ball of raging flames. In comparison, the yellow dot, after enlarging, it was only a small dot visible to the naked eye. But even so, he would not miss it. Strange, shaking his head. Although Lin Feng was curious, he still headed towards the rocket squad. He was already late for a long time. Hey, our trump card is back. Li Han stood up with a smile. Qinro sized up Lin Feng. Seeing that he was safe and sound, she revealed a smile. Let's go. Lu Qian carried her light green bow. Lin Feng nodded, although they did not get along well at the beginning. But now, the rocket squad was like a family. He would remember everyone's concern and help in his heart. Let's go this way today. Lin Feng pointed towards the northwest, his eyes flashing. Oh, Lu Qian's eyes flashed. We are too close to the inner area. Wang Hao frowned. He was the one who was in charge of leading the squad. Lin Feng also understood, once they got close to the inner area, the strength of the magical beasts would become stronger. For example, yesterday they met 2 golden wild bulls together for the first time, and if they went further in, there would be 3, 4, or even a middle-ranked general beast. It was very dangerous. Now, they were taking a circular route, circling around the inner area. In fact, most of the warrior squads used a similar method. Efficiency, safety. Lin Feng this. Li Han frowned. Seeing Lin Feng's determined expression, he did not know what to say. In Tianwu continent, the position of a strong was supreme. It was the same in the small team. Lin Feng had long used his own strength to establish prestige in the team. Then let's go another 10,000 meters. Lu Qian nodded. Lin Feng smiled faintly. He glanced at Wang Hao, who had an ugly expression on his face, but he didn't care too much. What he was interested in was, what was that khaki-colored square? Motherf Astral, that was really dangerous. We can even encounter a gray-toothed tiger in the outer region. Zhu Feng the greedy wolf was still in a state of shock. It's not surprising. We're already close to the inner layer. Silver Wolf Yin Ping nodded and said, fortunately, it was sleeping and didn't notice us. Otherwise, if we were targeted by it, we would be dead even if we had 10 lives. Yeah, the fangs of this gray-toothed tiger are almost completely white. It's about to evolve into a frost tiger. Little Wolf Fang Xiao said with a shocked expression. Just like Wang Hao's position in the Fiery Arrow Squad, the little wolf, Fang Xiao, was in the Greedy Wolf Squad, acting as a pathfinder and luring magical beasts. Hearing this, the members of the Greedy Wolf Squad felt a wave of fear. The gray-toothed tiger was an existence that was hard to deal with amongst the medium-level generals. It was extremely bloodthirsty, and its speed and attack were top-notch amongst the medium-level generals. This type of magical beast was the most hated by warrior squads. They had extremely fast speed and reaction time, and it was almost impossible for long-range firepower to cause fatal damage. But once it got close, it would be very troublesome, especially a gray-toothed tiger that was about to evolve into a frost tiger. Its strength was almost comparable to a high-level general. Damn it, where is that earth spirit beast, dark hornbeam lizard hiding? Zhu Feng the greedy wolf roared. It should be around here. Silver Wolf Yin Ping's eyes flashed as he looked at the ground. He smiled darkly. Not many people know that the dark hornbeam lizard likes to dig holes and sleep in the ground. Judging from the size and temperature of the hole, it must be where the dark hornbeam lizard rested last night. That was really dangerous, Li Han said softly. Lin Feng nodded. That silver lion fox was too fast. If it wasn't for Sister Qian shooting its leg, it would have been very troublesome. The battle just now was the most dangerous battle he had ever experienced. The silver lion fox's speed was so fast that he couldn't even attack it. Not to mention using the spear technique, flickering light. He couldn't even use a normal stab. Without Brother Ox's cooperation, it would be extremely difficult to kill it. And this was it because the silver lion fox's leg was injured and it couldn't display its full speed. Haha, I didn't expect a little monster like you to have a natural enemy. Li Han laughed. Indeed, Lin Feng gave him an inconceivable feeling. A newly promoted high-level martial warrior was actually able to easily kill a low-level general. Moreover, his stamina was limitless and he didn't know fatigue. If this wasn't a monster, then what was? Lin Feng shook his head, feeling helpless. Indeed, the proficient level movement technique had a weak point. If a magical beast speed was too much faster than his, it would be completely useless. Stupid ox. Qin Ro scolded softly. Big brother Lin Feng is challenging those of a higher level. When he becomes a low-level martial grandmaster, he won't be afraid of any silver lion fox. Li Han scratched his head. That's right. Seeing Qin Ro defend him, Lin Feng couldn't help but smile indifferently. That feeling was just like his own sister. Indeed, even though his strength had greatly increased in the past few days, his speed was at most at the middle level of a high-level martial warrior. Compared to the silver lion fox that was considered the fastest among low-level generals, the difference was too great. However, just as Qin Ro said, once he became a low-level martial grandmaster, he would be able to defeat all low-level generals. Just as he was thinking, Lu Qian suddenly stopped in her tracks. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. He understood the meaning of this action. A magical beast. However, this time, Lu Qian's expression was a bit strange. What's wrong, Sister Qian? Li Han asked. Lu Qian's expression turned serious. Wang Hao signaled that there was a mountain lizard in front of us. Mountain lizard? Everyone laughed. Lin Feng casually said, It doesn't matter even if there are 3 of them. The mountain lizard was one of the weakest low-level generals. Its movements were slow and its body was large. To him, it was no different from a live target for his spear practice. Not to mention one, even if there were 3 or 4 of them, he could easily take care of them by himself. Lu Qian shook her head. No, what I mean is, there is only one. Lin Feng's eyes brightened. This time, he understood, but just like Lu Qian, he was extremely puzzled. In the outer region of the ruins of low-level generals would have many subordinates. It wasn't uncommon for low-level generals to have more than 10 or 20 subordinates. But there wasn't even one? Strange. Won't we know once we take a look? Lin Feng nodded and took the lead. Instead of guessing and wasting time, it was better to see with their own eyes. Yes, everyone replied. There really is only one, Li Han said. Lin Feng looked over. He could only vaguely see a small black dot, but he couldn't see it clearly. In terms of physical fitness, he was indeed still some distance away from a low-level martial grandmaster. No, that isn't a mountain lizard. Lu Qian's expression was solemn. The mountain lizard is usually about 10 meters long, and its skin is as bumpy as a mountain. This one is more than 20 meters long, and its skin is smooth and solid, like earthworm dark steel. Li Han carefully looked for a few seconds. His expression instantly changed. Black arrow lizard? Lu Qian's beautiful eyes brightened. She softly said, That's right. It should be the earth spirit beast black arrow lizard. Lin Feng's heart couldn't help but tremble when he heard this. His luck was so good. The value of a spirit beast's inner core was extremely high. No, This wasn't a coincidence. Lin Feng instantly reacted. His eyes fiercely glanced at the fluorescent compass. He saw that the position between him and that small yellow dot almost coincided. What a pity. Li Han lightly sighed. Lin Feng was startled. Lu Qian looked at Lin Feng and shook her head. We can't kill it. Black Arrow Lizard's defense is too strong. Lu Qian seemed to be unwilling to give up and glanced at the Xuanhao mountain lizard again. She slowly said, the mountain lizard is originally a defense-type magical beast. After awakening as an earth spirit beast, its defense has increased by several times. When it encounters danger, its body will naturally form an earth element armor. To break that earth armor, you need 20,000 gene of attack power. And to kill it, not only do you need to break that earth armor, you also need to have the strength to kill it in one shot. At least 30,000 gene of attack power. Moreover, it's a critical attack. Lu Qian lightly sighed. My arrows are far from enough. Her weakest point was her physical strength. A living treasure. Li Han made a tsk sound and said regretfully, a black arrow lizard is worth at least tens of thousands of sky marshal coins, and there's also a considerable amount of points as a reward. If you can kill it, you will definitely make a lot of money. But to kill it, you need to be an intermediate martial master with an expert level movement technique and an attack power of more than 30,000. Lin Feng shook his head. Although his movement technique had already reached the expert level, it was enough to seize that fleeting opportunity. But his strength was only at the edge of the advanced warrior standard. Even if he used it to the limit, it would not exceed 25,000 attack power. Unless Lin Feng sighed. If he was alone, he might give a try. But in front of the rocket squad, revealing his identity as a fire spirit master was too reckless. It was not that he did not trust him, but there was no need. If only you could break the earth armor of the Black Arrow Lizard. Qinro looked at Lin Feng and said with a smile, Big Brother Lin Feng can kill the Iron Ridge Mountain Boar King like last time with one more shot. That lousy lizard is still alive. Humph. Lu Qian and Li Han could not help but laugh, but they knew that it was impossible. To break through the earth armor of the Black Arrow Lizard, one would need at least 20,000 attack power. But Lu Qian's arrow did not have it. Updated on time, looking for recommendation tickets. Chapter 58. The speaker didn't mean it, but the listener did. Lin Feng's eyes lit up as an idea popped into his mind. Let's go. Lu Qian shook her head. Li Han sighed. Even if he didn't want to, there was nothing he could do. After all, his strength was limited. Wait a moment. Lin Feng shouted. Everyone's gazes converged. Lin Feng looked at Lu Qian with bright eyes. If I can break open the earth element armor of the profound hornbeam lizard, Sister Qian, do you have a way to hit its weak points? Lin Feng, can you break the earth element armor of the mysterious hornbeam lizard? Li Han frowned. This requires at least 20,000 gene of attack power. The moment the earth element armor is broken, the mysterious hornbeam lizard will repair it. Could it be? Li Han's expression changed. Yes, 50% chance of killing and 50% chance of serious injury. Lu Qian's beautiful eyes sparkled. Her words were filled with confidence. It won't be able to dodge at mid-range. All right, let's give it a try. Lin Feng smiled indifferently. The leaping dragon spear in his hand shook. Lin Feng's face was filled with confidence as he moved forward with the spear. His current strength was completely different from yesterday's. Body art, proficient level, small success. Lin Feng. He really comprehended it? Li Han's face was filled with disbelief. I'm not sure. Lu Qian's expression was indifferent. Heavens, proficient level, small success. Not many advanced martial grandmasters can comprehend it. Li Han shook his head. Are you bragging? Wang Hao said sourly. Others might not be able to, but Big Brother Lin Feng definitely can. Qinro nodded with determination. Just watch and you'll know. Lu Qian's eyes flickered. She extended her right hand and took out the light green bow. Walking like a tiger or a dragon, Lin Feng clearly saw that Xianqiu Hill lizard. It was a lizard-type magical beast that was over 20 meters long. It was earthy yellow in color, and its skin was smooth and solid like Xianqiu hill lizard. Its tail had black and yellow stripes that hung down, and its sharp barbs appeared incomparably sinister. Hiss, hiss, spitting out its moss-red tongue. The Xuanhu hill lizard's pair of pitch-black eyes stared straight at Lin Feng, revealing a dense hostility. What a big guy. Lin Feng clicked his tongue and sighed. Compared to that enormous body, he was like a speck of dust. Crawling on the ground at a glance, it was simply too shocking. Earth Spirit Beast. The leaping dragon spear in Lin Feng's hand vibrated, and his eyes lit up. Let's fight. His deep voice carried a gust of wind. In a split second, Lin Feng rushed towards the Xuanhu hill lizard. At this moment, the Xuanhu hill lizard was also furious. It swung its thick tail like a long whip towards Lin Feng. Although its body was huge, the whipping speed of its tail was not slow in the slightest. Lin Feng was already paying attention. His body dodged, and he shifted, dodging by a hair's breadth. Sister Qian said before, to deal with the Xuanhu hill lizard, jumping is a big taboo. Just as his right foot stepped on the ground, Lin Feng dived forward again. The Xuanhu hill lizard's most proficient move was to use its enormous attack range to make the martial artist jump. Then, the tail whip would whip towards the martial artist in midair at an extremely terrifying speed. Unless the martial artist had enough defensive power, otherwise, the light injury would be serious and the heavy injury would be fatal. One must know that it was impossible to dodge in midair. Good fellow again. Lin Feng's eyes flashed. One whip lashed out, and another whip came. Although the Xuanhu hill lizard's 4 limbs were short, it was constantly shifting its position. Although its attack method was simple, it was quite practical. However, although Lin Feng's speed was not fast, but the level of his movement technique, how could the Xuanhu hill lizard compare to it? Whoosh! In a split second, Lin Feng scuttled to the front of the Xuanhu hill lizard. This angle was just like a blind spot where the tail whip could not attack. Roar! The Xuanhu hill lizard was incomparably furious, opening its bloody mouth. Suddenly, those short 4 limbs fiercely exerted strength. Its huge body was like a low cannonball that attacked Lin Feng. Its speed was not the slightest bit slower than the tail whip. Lizard-type magical beasts are indeed easy to deal with. Lin Feng smiled indifferently. His body moved slightly to the side, nimbly avoiding the Xuanhu hill lizard's dive. His footsteps carried a peculiar rhythm. His right foot landed on the ground. In a split second, it was like the roar of thunder. Boom! His body transformed into a fast shooting star. Lin Feng's right arm fiercely shook. The leaping dragon spear let out a deep groan. Pulling and twisting, it pierced out like lightning. Spear technique, instant flowing light. And in a split second, Lu Qian, who was 100 meters away, emitted a scorching light. Pulling the string, knocking the bow, exerting strength. His right hand was like a string. The speed was astonishing. Even Li Han could only see an afterimage. Right here, the leaping dragon spear pierced towards the Xuanhu hill lizard's left eye. In a split second, the Xuanhu hill lizard's body suddenly surged with a powerful energy wave. A thick earth yellow armor appeared like an emperor's new clothes, completely wrapping the Xuanhu hill lizard's body within. It was so tight that there was not a single gap. Break! Lin Feng's eyes flashed with a fierce light. The leaping dragon spear collided with the earth yellow armor in a split second. Bang! A sound like an explosion. An attack of 24,000 Jin completely exploded. The terrifying power was completely released. In a split second, the Xuanhu hill lizard's defense collapsed. A terrifying hole appeared in the thick earth yellow armor. Just at this moment, Lin Feng felt a terrifying chill behind his ear, causing his hair to stand. So, a golden light pierced through his back, as fast as a shooting star. In a split second, blood splattered. Roar! The Xuanhu hill lizard let out a roar. Its body trembled violently. A large amount of blood flowed out from its left eye. That glittering golden arrow emitted an oppressive cold light. And at this moment, Lin Feng's eyes flashed. Taking advantage of the Xuanhu Hill lizard's twitching body, the leaping dragon spear in his hand pierced out again. Die! A cold light flashed past. Bang! Flesh and blood splattered. The glittering golden arrow pierced into the Xuanhu Hill lizard's eye. Lin Feng's spear was fast and accurate. It caused everyone to be stunned in that split second. The huge body crashed on the ground, no longer making a sound. Xuanhu Hill lizard dead. Lu Qian's face revealed a smile of disbelief. In fact, she shot that arrow because she trusted Lin Feng. She never thought that he would really be able to kill the Xuanhu Hill lizard. It's true, it's really small success of the proficient level. Li Han muttered. Compared to the death of the Xuanhu Hill lizard, what truly shocked him was, it was Lin Feng's strength. From when he first came to the ruins of his body movement technique was only at the basic level large success. Now he was at the proficient level small success. In such a short period of time, Lin Feng actually made 2 big strides. Yay, that's great. Qin Ro excitedly jumped up. Her beautiful eyes flickered with light as she looked at Lin Feng's figure from afar with a bit of worship. Even Wang Hao was grinning from ear to ear. Although he didn't like Lin Feng killing the Xuanhu Hill lizard, this profit was a very considerable amount. There's the sound of battle over there. Wolf Cub Fong Xiao was scouting when she suddenly heard a loud rumbling sound. She strode forward and looked towards the source of the sound. Not far ahead, there was a 20-meter-long corpse dripping with blood. Her heart suddenly trembled. Heavens, it's the Xuanhu Hill lizard. Wolf Cub Fong Xiao covered her mouth in shock. It was actually killed by someone. That's the rocket squad. Fong Zhao's eyes widened. The ones who killed the Xuanhu Hill lizard were actually them. After carefully staring for a few seconds until she was completely sure, Fong Xiao nodded and left. Ha ha ha, this time we're rich. Li Han laughed loudly. Surrounding the corpse of the Xuanhu Hill lizard, everyone was beaming with joy. They were in a good mood. It's all thanks to Big Brother Lin Feng. Big stupid ox, you didn't do anything. Qin Ro snorted lightly. Lin Feng smiled. Without Sister Qian's help, I couldn't have killed it alone. That arrow left a deep impression on Lin Feng. It almost brushed past the back of his ear. If one's courage was slightly smaller, they might have been scared to death. Sister Qian's timing is too good. Lin Feng praised from the bottom of his heart. Of course, Sister's nickname Cloud-Piercing Arrow is not for nothing. Qin Ro proudly raised her head. Lu Qian smiled. That appearance was as if an iceberg had melted. Being able to smoothly kill the Xuanhu Hill lizard was definitely something to be happy about. Her beautiful eyes looked towards Lin Feng, twinkling. Lin Feng, your movement technique reached the proficient level. In a split second, everyone's gaze converged. Lu Qian asked the question that was in everyone's heart. Lin Feng smiled slightly and nodded. This was not like the identity of a fire spirit master, which needed to be concealed. From the big sky martial continent to the small warrior squad, only the strong would be respected and feared. Heavens! Li Han shook his head. Although he had already guessed it, when he heard Lin Feng personally admit it, he still found it hard to believe. Big Brother Lin Feng is really too amazing. Qin Ro was so excited that her little face was flushed red. Wang Hao's expression was slightly ugly. He looked at Qin Ro and then looked at Lin Feng. He pursed his lips, but no one knew what he was thinking. Clap, clap. Lu Qian clapped her hands and smiled. All right, let's not waste time. Let's first deal with the Xuanhu Hill lizard's corpse. The most important thing is to take out its inner core, the Earth Spirit Pill. Just this alone can be sold for 40 to 50,000 Sky Martial coins. Wow, we didn't even earn that much last year. Qin Ro exclaimed. Let's get to work. Li Han laughed heartily. Lin Feng also laughed. He was indeed poor. It was rare for him to be lucky enough to give away such a large amount of Sky Martial coins. He glanced at the fluorescent compass and saw the yellow dot on the map. It had already disappeared. It is indeed the Xuanhu Hill lizard. Silver Wolf's eyes flickered with coldness. It's actually them. Greed Wolf Zhu Feng looked at the rocket squad and said in disbelief. Lu Qian led a group of child soldiers. How could they kill the Xuanhu Hill Lizard? Boss, something is wrong. Skinny Wolf Du Yin said in a low voice. What's wrong? The Xuanhu Hill Lizard must have been seriously injured, and the rocket squad took advantage of it. Greed Wolf Zhu Feng gritted his teeth and said, I know Lu Qian's strength very well. Other than her and Han Yo, there are no other martial grandmasters. Captain, isn't there a newcomer? Tiger Man Tiger said in a low voice. His name is Lin Feng. He just passed the warrior combat examination this year. Skinny Wolf Du Yin said sinisterly. Intermediate martial warrior. Captain, we are waiting for your decision. Silver Wolf's eyes were cold and sharp. Greed's expression changed instantly. He made a decision in an instant. He clenched his fists and his eyes lit up. Kill. Greed spat out a word coldly. Kill a big boss. Please recommend me. Chapter 59. The skin of this mysterious lizard is really hard. Li Han grinned and used all his strength to cut it. Although he said that he was tired, Li Han was incomparably happy. Once he obtained the Earth Spirit Pill, it would be a windfall. Lin Feng carefully observed Li Han's movements and nodded from time to time, as if he understood something. He was indeed an expert in killing magical beasts, but when it came to skinning the skin and dismantling the bones and taking the treasures from the magical beasts, he was no match for Li Han, the expert. At the very least, in terms of strength, he lost by a large margin. Han Yo moved faster. Lu Qian looked around with a hint of worry. Ordinary magical beasts might not care, but this mysterious lizard was worth tens of thousands of sky marshal coins. Who knows, other people might be jealous. After all, this was an astronomical figure for a 4-star warrior team. Brute force and skill are indispensable. Lin Feng said softly, with my strength, I'm afraid it's hard to cut open the mysterious lizard, but Lin Feng suddenly smiled. It's much easier to burn it with elemental fire. Just as he was thinking in his heart, suddenly, Lin Feng's heart twisted. His body felt cold without any reason, and he trembled inexplicably. What's going on? Lin Feng's expression changed. He subconsciously turned his head and saw 2 golden lights coming from afar. It's familiar. In an instant, his hair stood on end. Danger! Lin Feng's expression changed greatly. Lu Qian and Li Han also reacted. Almost in the blink of an eye, Lu Qian took out the light green big bow from her back. Li Han quickly turned around. His body shrunk as if it was a conditioned reflex. He grabbed the big black shield and raised it above his head. At this moment, 2 golden lights flashed. Those were 2 golden arrows, falling like meteors. So, Lin Feng vaguely remembered this sound. It was exactly the same as when he killed the mysterious lizard. The difference was that the arrow was aimed at the mysterious lizard, but now the target was him, and Lin Feng's body moved to the side almost instinctively, and a golden arrow brushed past his left arm. The white stallion armor that even high-level astral weapons couldn't break was sliced off in an instant, taking away a large chunk of Lin Feng's flesh and blood. It was extremely dangerous, as if his life was hanging by a thread. Lin Feng's forehead broke out in cold sweat. If he had reacted a little slower, the consequences would have been, it was unimaginable. At this moment, Li Han's heart-wrenching cries could be heard. Oh no, Brother Ox. Lin Feng's expression suddenly changed. He staggered and steadied himself. His eyes quickly looked over, and he was instantly terrified. Li Han's right eye was pierced with a bloody golden arrow. His body was curled up on the ground, constantly twitching and groaning. The pitch-black shield in his right hand had a large hole in it. It was a ghastly sight. At this moment, Lu Qian moved. Drawing the bow, pulling the bowstring, and shooting the arrow were all done in one go. A bright ray of light flew across the sky. However, it was only used as a deterrent. Qin Ro and Wang Hao were already stunned. They had never seen such a scene before. Lin Feng covered his left arm. Blood continuously flowed from the gaps between his fingers. His arm was numb, but he didn't have time to pay attention to it. He looked at the direction where the golden arrow came from and saw a few familiar figures slowly walking over. The one in the lead had an evil grin on his face. It was Greedy Wolf Zhu Feng, TSK, Silver Wolf's ultimate skill, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Missed a little bird this time. Zhu Feng laughed wantonly. In his opinion, the most threatening member of the rocket squad was fierce bull Li Han. No matter how powerful Lu Qian was, once she got close, she would only be a weak beginner martial grandmaster. As for killing Lin Feng, it was only because he happened to be close to Li Han. Greedy Wolf. Lu Qian was so angry that her delicate body trembled. Little Qian is little Qian. Even when you're angry, you're still so beautiful. Zhu Feng smiled. Greedy Wolf, don't mess around. Do you know that killing fellow disciples is a very serious crime? Lu Qian gritted her teeth. Zhu Feng was stunned and immediately laughed wildly. Behind him, Skinny Wolf, Tiger Wolf, and Small Wolf also laughed unscrupulously, as if they were mocking Lu Qian's ignorance. Sister Qian, their goal is to kill us all. At that time, the dead tell no tales, Lin Feng said in a low voice. After making a detour from the gates of hell, he was exceptionally clear-headed now. He had almost become an ice-cold corpse right now. Smart little guy. Zhu Feng smiled deeply, but his face instantly turned cold. Indeed, all of you will die today. He glanced not far away and smiled. If you want to escape, you can try. Let's see if your feet are faster or Silver Wolf's arrow is more accurate. Wang Hao's face turned pale and his legs trembled. An ambush by a martial grandmaster archer was definitely a nightmare. Catching a turtle in a jar, Lin Feng looked at the 4 members of the Greedy Wolf group and felt a chill in his heart. He felt that other than Zhu Feng, the Greedy Wolf, the other 3 were not strong. But Zhu Feng, he had heard Brother Niu mention that he was stronger than team leader Xiao Minghua. He was the best of the junior martial grandmasters and had an attack power of more than 30,000. My father will not let you go, bad guy. Qin Ro bit her lips and said fiercely. Oh, I forgot that there's a young lady here. Zhu Feng smiled lasciviously and turned to his subordinates. How about it? Do you want to try the taste of this high and mighty young lady? You are in for a treat. I guarantee that you will enjoy it to your heart's content. Ha ha. Thank you, boss. Skinny Wolf and Tiger Wolf behind him were delighted. Yu. Qin Ro was so angry that her face turned red. Lin Feng's eyes kept changing as he thought to himself. Today's battle is already on the bow. The key is whether I can kill Zhu Feng, the Greedy Wolf. His movement technique is also at the proficient level, but with his speed, once he explodes, I will not be able to catch up. The difference of 1 level is like the difference between heaven and earth. There was a difference in attack power between the proficient level and the beginner level, but there was no difference in speed. Lin Feng knew very well that he could not even defeat the injured Silver Lion Fox, let alone Zhu Feng, the Greedy Wolf. It's useless, Qin Ro. Lu Qian shook her head and said, because of the Xuanhao lizard mission, there are too many martial artists and hunter groups in the ruins of Yer. No matter how powerful the sect leader is, he will not be able to find out. Lu Qian's voice was a little hoarse. With Greedy Wolf's personality, he will definitely eliminate all future troubles. As expected of Qian you are indeed smart. Zhu Feng smiled casually and paused. His dark eyes suddenly revealed a hint of a smile. I might as well tell you a secret. Actually, I killed Xiao Minghua. What? Lu Qian bit her lips, her face pale. She had already felt that something was not right. With Brother Hua's strength, how could he die under the claws of a beginner-level beast general? Xiao Minghua, that trash, he deserved to die. Zhu Feng's eyes were cold. He licked his lips and looked at Lu Qian with lust. No one can stop me from getting you. In the past, it was, and it is. Even if I can't get your heart, today, I will get your body. As he spoke, Zhu Feng took a step forward and unsheathed the saber at his waist. The saber glinted coldly. Lu Qian's face was pale. She could not help but retreat. She was an archer. Once she got close, she might not even be able to defeat a beginner-level martial grandmaster, let alone her opponent, Zhu Feng, who was known for his savagery and greed. At this moment, Lin Feng was in a tense stalemate as he pondered. He knew very well that it was a matter of life and death. But the more it was like this, the more he had to stay calm. One chance, Lin Feng thought to himself. While he is underestimating me, I will attack his weak thigh. Lin Feng did not know how strong Zhu Feng's defense was. But as long as he could cripple his thigh with his movement technique, he would have the absolute advantage. Lin Feng tightened his grip on the leaping dragon spear. At this moment, Zhu Feng's cold eyes looked over. He raised his saber and grinned. Let's start with you, the fish that escaped the net. Go to hell. Zhu Feng's voice was incomparably cold. In a split second, he took a step forward, leaving behind a few afterimages. The saber in his hand whistled through the air and slashed towards Lin Feng like lightning. Lin Feng, big brother Lin Feng. The two girls shouted in shock. At this moment, a sudden change occurred. Lin Feng, who seemed to be completely petrified, dodged in a weird way. The sharp sound of the saber seemed to pierce through his eardrums. The saber light brushed past his body, and a bloody wound appeared on Lin Feng's face. Even a few strands of his hair were cut off. He looked battered and exhausted, but Lin Feng dodged it. Now, the leaping dragon spear in his hand made a sonorous sound. Lin Feng's eyes flickered. He swung his right arm and stepped forward with his right foot. The familiar rhythm was completely integrated into his attack. The leaping dragon spear in his hand seemed to have turned into a rainbow, flowing light. Suddenly, it pierced out like lightning. It was an extremely fast spear. Zhu Feng's face instantly turned pale. He did not expect Lin Feng to be so strong. Damn it, this kid is pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger. Zhu Feng was furious. The silver spear was aimed at his left leg. The attack was extremely tricky and ruthless. But after all, Zhu Feng was Zhu Feng. He had been in the endless wilderness for so long and had seen all kinds of life and death situations. His body moved to the limit. His left leg moved a few inches. Chi! Lin Feng's face slightly changed. The leaping dragon spear pierced through. Although it only took a piece of flesh, but it did not hit the target. Damn it! Lin Feng's heart tightened. In an instant, a sharp blade came from the front. Lin Feng quickly blocked with a leaping dragon spear. Clang! A crisp sound rang out. However, Lin Feng's right hand went numb as if it was struck by lightning. Pooh! Lin Feng spat out a mouthful of blood. His face turned pale. He could not help but slide back 10 meters. Zhu Feng's strength was too strong. The battle that happened in a flash stunned everyone. Zhu Feng's left leg was dripping with blood. It looked quite terrifying. Lin Feng spat out a mouthful of blood. It was obvious that his injury was not light. In the first round of battle, the two were actually evenly matched. The members of Zhu Feng's greedy wolf squad were all stunned. However, Lu Qian bit her lips. Her face was ugly. Others might not know, but she knew best. Lin Feng, trouble. Damn it! Zhu Feng roared angrily. His expression was a little sad. Feeling the pain in his thigh, he wished he could cut Lin Feng into pieces. If he had not reacted quickly, he would have died here. His opponent was just a newcomer. You little bastard. Zhu Feng approached Lin Feng step by step. The war blade in his hand vibrated like thunder. He was really angry. Damn it, go to hell. Zhu Feng shouted ferociously. The war blade in his hand was like rolling thunder. Zhu Feng's strength completely erupted in an instant. However, under everyone's gaze, Lin Feng did not dodge or hide. Instead, he sped up his pace. His body was like a meteor that crashed into Zhu Feng's blade. He wanted to take it head-on. No, Lin Feng. Lu Qian's face was pale. Qin Ro covered her eyes. On the other side, the members of Zhu Feng's greedy wolf squad sneered at Lin Feng for overestimating himself. He dares to take boss's attack head-on? Ha! He really doesn't know what's good for him. Zhu Feng's attack power was more than 30,000 pounds. He was one of the best among beginner martial grandmasters. But in that instant, everyone's eyes widened. Lin Feng abandoned his spear and used his fists. Please recommend me. Thank you for your continuous support, Carrot Carrot. Chapter 60. To everyone's surprise, Lin Feng had put on a fiery red glove on his left hand. Crimson, refining glove. The fiery red color was like a raging inferno. His only chance had failed. Lin Feng knew that he could no longer hide his strength. If he did not reveal his trump card, there would only be one outcome: death. Looking at the confident and sinister face in front of him, Lin Feng's left hand suddenly lit up with flames. The intense primordial fire instantly gushed out like a soaring fire dragon, burning his entire fist. The scorching temperature seemed to want to burn everything into ashes. In an instant, Tan Lang's expression changed. Fear, shock, and disbelief were mixed in. This is... Tan Lang's eyes widened as he reacted instantly. No. His soul scattered. However, there was no medicine for regret in this world. Lin Feng's eyes were as bright as the stars. In an instant, the flames in his left hand came into contact with Zhu Feng's battle blade. Boom! A shocking explosion sounded. The raging flames burned fiercely, and the power of the primordial fire erupted in an instant. In the blink of an eye, Zhu Feng's battle blade was engulfed. In an instant, Zhu Feng's right hand burned with raging flames. Bang! 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 The scorching flames burned fiercely. Tan Lang did not even have time to cry out before he was burned to ashes. This is a fire martial artist. This is a fire martial artist. Lin Feng stood in the wind. His eyes were bright as he looked at the swaying primordial fire in his left hand. His heart was filled with astonishment. Tan Lang's strength was not an exaggeration. 30,000 pounds of attack power was enough to blast him into pieces. However, in front of the primordial fire, he could not even resist it. My body is that of a high-level martial artist. The power of the primordial fire is that of a high-level martial grandmaster. Lin Feng nodded. It was indeed easy for a high-level martial grandmaster to kill a low-level martial grandmaster. Compared to the fire that killed Qiuban the first time, the current primordial fire, it was even more shocking and frightening. Lu Qian, Qin Rou, and Wang Hao were all stunned and breathless. Their mouths were wide open, looking extremely comical. Fire! Fire Spirit Master? Lu Qian's eyes flickered with a strange light. In terms of experience and knowledge, no one here could compare to cloud-piercing arrow Lu Qian. In an instant, Skinny Wolf, Tiger Wolf, and Wolf Cub came back to their senses. As if they had seen the devil, they retreated in horror. Looking at the ferocious flame on Lin Feng's left hand, his heart immediately turned cold. How could he still have the slightest bit of courage? With a stumble, he hurriedly tried to escape. However, just as the greedy wolf Zhu Feng had said, there was an elementary martial grandmaster archer. Escape? That would be a joke. Lu Qian's eyes were cold and sharp. She started work, pulled the bowstring, and shot the arrow. There was no need to aim at all. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Almost instantaneously, 3 arrows were shot. 3 blood-curdling screams were heard as the skinny wolf, the tiger wolf, and the small wolf fell into a pool of blood, killed with 1 arrow. Lin Feng looked up at Lu Qian and couldn't help but smile. Once the 3 of them escaped, things would get out of hand. Suddenly, boom, boom. In the sky, an explosive sound suddenly rang out. The huge movement immediately caused a commotion. The roars of magical beasts could be heard from all directions. Lu Qian's expression instantly changed. Not good. The silver wolf shot a beast-luring bomb. Lin Feng frowned. He had heard Brother Ox mention before that the beast-luring bomb was a type of energy weapon. It would emit a loud bang, causing a large number of magical beasts to gather in the surroundings. It was obvious that the silver wolf with the bow on his back wanted to use this chaos to escape. To the rocket squad, this was definitely a troublesome matter. Lu Qian shouted, Wang Hao carrying Trepid Ox. Qin Rou, You lead the way. Yes. The two of them replied. Lin Feng nodded to Lu Qian and immediately went to the side of the Xuanhu lizard's corpse. With a bang sound, the elemental fire in his left hand burned. He controlled the intensity of the fire and burned the Xuanhu lizard's skin bit by bit. Everywhere the fire passed, it turned into nothingness. Relying on elemental fire to collect magical beast materials, it's all burned up, Lin Feng muttered softly. But at this time, he couldn't care less about whether it was wasted or not. Although the Xuanhu lizard's materials were useful, they were not even 1% of the Earth Spirit Pill. Lin Feng, hurry, Lu Qian said anxiously. The roars of the surrounding magical beasts were getting closer and closer. Lu Qian was clearly a bit anxious. Okay. Lin Feng didn't dare to be careless. The Xuanhu lizard's body was really too big. To find a palm-sized Earth Spirit Pill in this 20-meter-long body was definitely not an easy task. In addition, Lin Feng didn't dare to use his elemental fire recklessly. If it exceeded the limit of the Xuanhu lizard's skin, he would really want to cry, but have no tears. The current him was still unable to control his elemental fire as he wished. Roar, 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 roar. The roar of the magical beast in the distance was incomparably shocking. It was so angry that it seemed as if it wanted to tear a hole in the sky. Hearing that sound, Lu Qian's beautiful face instantly changed. Oh no, it's a gray-toothed tiger. Mid-level beast general, gray-toothed tiger? Wang Hao's face paled. He hurriedly said, Captain, let's go quickly. No, wait for Lin Feng. Lu Qian bit her lips tightly. Her beautiful eyes stared at Lin Feng, who was not far away. At this moment, Lin Feng was completely focused. I need to be more careful. It should be soon. Lin Feng carefully controlled the elemental fire. Cold sweat continuously seeped out of his forehead. To him, this was a very big project. Suddenly, as if he had sensed something, Lin Feng's eyes suddenly shone. He caught a glimpse of a faint light. The elemental fire in his left hand instantly increased by a few degrees. In a split second, a small, earthy yellow, pearl-like ball entered his eyes. It emitted an alluring luster. It was the Earth Spiritual Pill. Lin Feng immediately grabbed it with his right hand. Although he had never seen what the Earth Spiritual Pill looked like, he could completely feel the energy contained in this small ball. It was as if it came from the same source as his elemental fire. There was a slight resonance. Found it, Sister Qian. Lin Feng happily stood up. However, at this moment, looking around, the surroundings were filled with magical beasts. There were at least a few hundred of them. High-level beast soldiers, such as the red-striped wild boar and the antelope-toothed beast, as well as low-level beast generals, such as the silver-eyed mountain ape and the golden wild ox, were all over the mountain. Following Sister Qian's gaze, on a ruined platform not far away, there was a 15-meter-long and 5-meter-tall tiger-type magical beast eyeing them covetously. The word King was engraved on its forehead. At the corner of its mouth, two white canine teeth were incomparably ferocious. Gray-toothed tiger. Wang Hao's teeth chattered. It's about to evolve into a high-level ice wolf tiger, Lu Qian said slowly. The smile on Lin Feng's face disappeared. The leaping dragon spear in his right hand returned to the scabbard on his back. Under everyone's gaze, Lin Feng calmly took out another red gloves and wore it on his right hand. In a split second, his hands seemed to have condensed into a raging fire. It was incomparably fiery red. Lu Qian's beautiful eyes shone with a trace of brilliance. Lin Feng blame. Wang Hao angrily reprimanded. However, he was interrupted halfway. Follow me. Lin Feng's voice was very calm. There was not the slightest ripple. The not-so-tall figure proudly stepped forward. His gait gave people a feeling of incomparable security. It was as if there was no need to be afraid as long as he was in front of them. Wang Hao, Qinro follow Lin Feng closely. Lu Qian's beautiful eyes focused. Protect Han Yeo. I'll bring up the rear. Rumble, the crazy group of beasts began to charge, causing the ground of the metal ruins to crack. Pieces of metal fell down, and dust flew everywhere. The blazing bull, red-striped boar, golden buffalo, and other magical beasts charged at the front. Behind them, the group of magical beasts was majestic and shocking. "Follow closely," Lin Feng roared. At this moment, he deeply understood his responsibility. He could not afford to lose. Immediately, the rocket squad followed Lin Feng. Among them, Wang Hao carried the unconscious Li Han on his back. Lu Qian held a big bow in her hand. Her beautiful eyes shone brightly. Roar! Ha! The air was filled with a strong stench. Lin Feng, who was charging at the front, quickly began the first round of confrontation with the magical beasts. The closer they got, the stronger the stench became. Lin Feng clenched his teeth and concentrated. At this moment, he clenched his fists and yuan fire burst out. Bang! 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 3 consecutive punches, each of which collided directly with the magic beasts. The terrifying primordial fire finally showed its true power at this moment. A low-level golden wild bull was directly smashed into pieces. The powerful impact caused the golden wild bull's corpse to fall into the crowd of magic beasts. In an instant, the remaining primordial fire once again showed its power. Bang! Bang! It spread like a strong poison. Any magical beast that was touched by the yuan fire would have only one result in an instant: death. In the blink of an eye, more than 30 magical beasts were killed. Rumble! Under the mournful roars of the magical beasts, the group of magical beasts that were running at high speed was instantly thrown into chaos. From time to time, they would fall and trample. Lin Feng, on the other hand, brought along a strong flame and went straight into the group of magical beasts. Like a sharp knife, he used his body to forcefully open a path. So strong, too terrifying. Is he still human? Lu Qian, Qin Rou, and Wang Hao were all completely stunned. One by one, the low-level beast generals that they had to risk their lives to kill were like scarecrows when faced with Lin Feng's attacks. They were directly burned into ashes without even a trace of resistance. Lin Feng was like a raging flame. Wherever he passed, not even a blade of grass grew. Oh no, this kind of battle depletes my energy too quickly. Lin Feng's eyes flickered. He knew his own situation. Every time he used yuan fire to kill a magical beast, it not only consumed yuan fire, but also his energy. Without energy, he wouldn't be able to control the yuan fire, let alone kill magical beasts. Although after training, his energy had increased from the time of half an incense stick to the time of cup of tea. But that was training. And now, every attack was done with all his strength, without any concealment. The difference was huge. Lin Feng raised his head and gazed at the extremely arrogant gray-toothed tiger. He immediately gritted his teeth and said, "I'll fight. To catch bandits, first catch the leader." Boom, boom, after a series of attacks, Lin Feng opened up a bloody path and charged straight at the gray-toothed tiger. At this moment, the members of the rocket squad all let out cries of surprise. Especially Lu Qian, who was even more worried, because she knew that this gray-toothed tiger was extremely powerful. Roar! The gray-toothed tiger straightened its body, its pair of tiger eyes majestic. Seeing that Lin Feng dared to charge at it, the gray-toothed tiger suddenly felt as if it was being looked down upon. It roared towards the sky, and all the surrounding magical beasts retreated 3 feet away. Even those that had originally approached Lin Feng and wanted to attack him roared and didn't dare to move forward. Among magical beasts, the strongest was a king. With a roar, the gray-toothed tiger's body seemed to turn into a phantom. With a terrifying speed, it pounced at Lin Feng. The speed of its pouncing was several times faster than Zhu Feng's attack. Its cold claws flickered with a frightening light, as if it was hunting prey, wanting to tear Lin Feng apart. Once hit, not a single bone would be left. However, the gray-toothed tiger miscalculated one thing. That was, Lin Feng was far stronger than it had imagined. Die! With a roar, Lin Feng didn't dodge in the slightest, but he couldn't dodge at all. The veins on his forehead were exposed, as if he had used up all the strength in his body. The origin fire on his fist surged, and the sensing ability of the 5th grade origin fire caused the origin fire to gather at an extremely fast speed. Almost in an instant, the color had changed from vermilion to deep red. Extreme power. Boom! An earth-shattering punch, and also Lin Feng's strongest punch. Roar, roar. The gray-toothed tiger's mournful cries resounded through the sky. Its entire body seemed to be on fire, and Lin Feng's body was covered in thick blood. The formidable power of the origin fire erupted at this moment, and the gray-toothed tiger's claws and lower abdomen were all burned by the origin fire. Lin Feng's eyes lit up again. His body leaned forward, and the origin fire on his right fist rose again, striking towards the gray-toothed tiger's throat with a boom. Bang! Blood splattered everywhere from the gray-toothed tiger's throat. Everyone in the rocket squad was stunned at that moment. That gray-toothed tiger, whose strength was comparable to a high-level beast general, faced Lin Feng, and in a direct confrontation, died a tragic death. Into the 3rd episode. Chapter 61. 3 Feet of Fear. Not only the members of the rocket squad, even the magical beasts were the same. The general-level magical beasts already possessed elementary intelligence. Although their roars were still the same, in Lin Feng's ears, they were less ferocious and imposing, more fearful and cowering. Stepping on the pale, toothed tiger's corpse, Lin Feng's hands sparkled with flames. Covered in blood, he looked even more ferocious, like a king descending. Huff! Huff! 2 clusters of raging flames suddenly appeared in Lin Feng's hands. His cold eyes swept across the magical beasts. In an instant, rumble! The tremors were incomparably intense. A large group of magical beasts scattered. Under the lead of the low-level general-level beasts, the high-level and mid-level beasts all scattered. The feeling of an earthquake assaulted them. Dust flew up again. However, the members of the rocket squad were brimming with smiles. A narrow escape from death. Big brother Lin Feng, you're so powerful. Qin Ro's face blossomed with admiration. It's all thanks to you. Lu Qian smiled. Lin Feng smiled tiredly at the 2 girls. He felt lucky. In reality, he was already an arrow at the end of its flight. With his strength, after killing the pale-toothed tiger, there was no one else that could threaten him. Relying on his proficient level movement technique, even if he couldn't kill all the magical beasts, he could easily stay alive. However, it was hard to say for the other members of the rocket squad. It's not safe here. Let's leave first. After saying that, Lin Feng's right hand ignited with origin fire and cut off the pale-toothed tiger's 2 almost white fangs. This one was worth several thousand Tianwu coins. Wouldn't it be a pity to waste it? Okay, Lu Qian replied. Unknowingly, Lin Feng had already become the leader of the group. Strength was the key. In the Tianwu continent, the strong had the innate right to lead. Lin Feng's group quickly rushed up to the 2nd floor of a metal ruin. This place was clearly much safer than other places. Quick, let Hanyo lie down, Lu Qian said. Wang Hao hurriedly did as he was told. Li Han's sturdy body immediately lay down. Lin Feng looked over and saw that Li Han's body was stained with blood and his face was pale. The golden arrow in his right eye was extremely frightening. His body seemed to be motionless, but he had already fainted. Lin Feng's heart couldn't help but tighten. In the rocket squad, Brother Bull had taken care of him like a little brother. He vaguely remembered the first time they met. Li Han patted him on the shoulder and said to him personally, "It's okay if you're weak. I'll take care of you. Follow me from now on." But now, at this time, Lu Qian had already taken out the first aid medicine. Her face was solemn. Qin Ro, hold down the bull's head. Wang Hao, pull out the arrow. Be quick. Yes. Qin Ro and Wang Hao nodded vigorously. Lin Feng was anxious as he watched from the side. However, he knew nothing about first aid, so he might cause more trouble if he helped. Obviously, Lu Qian was much more experienced in this regard. After all, she had spent years in the wildlands and had slowly built up her skills through numerous injuries. Pull through, Brother Bull. Lin Feng clenched his fist and prayed silently in his heart. Listen to my command. Lu Qian said seriously, 1, 2, 3, pull. Chi. With a splash of blood, Li Han instantly woke up from the pain. However, Qin Ro pressed down firmly, completely ignoring the blood stains on her small face. Lu Qian's movements were extremely fast. She sprinkled medicine powder on the wound to stop bleeding and reduce inflammation. Her right hand took out a needle, and in a few moves, she simply stitched up the wound and bandaged it. Phew! Lu Qian wiped off her sweat. Qin Ro and Wang Hao were also exhausted. This tension and intensity was far more intense than the battle with the magical beasts. Seeing Li Han lying peacefully on the ground and his breathing gradually calming down, Lin Feng couldn't help but let out a long sigh of relief. He knew that Brother Bull was saved. The wound has been treated simply, and it's fine now. Lu Qian glanced at Li Han and sighed. But I'm afraid that Han Yo's right, I can't be saved. After returning to Cloud Sun City, it will be treated properly. In 2 to 3 months, his body will be as good as new. But his strength, sigh? Lin Feng's heart sank. He knew very well how important the eye was to a warrior. With only the left eye, his vision would be greatly reduced. Not only would he be unable to accurately determine the distance, but there would also be blind spots. His combat ability would be greatly reduced. The impact on his strength would be huge. Qin Ro's eyes were red and wet. She angrily said, after returning, I will definitely tell father about this. It's useless. Lu Qian shook her head. Except for Silver Wolf, all the members of the Greedy Wolf team are dead. I believe that Silver Wolf has already escaped and will definitely not return to Cloud Sun City. It will be very difficult to find him again. As she spoke, Lu Qian looked at Lin Feng and hesitated. All right, Lin Feng, your flame just now was immediately. Qin Ro and Wang Hao also looked at Lin Feng. Lin Feng knew that when he used the primordial fire to kill the greedy wolf and save everyone from the beast horde, the secret of being a fire spirit master was also revealed. Everyone must have guessed it. All right, I admit. Lin Feng showed a helpless smile. I am a fire spirit master. Hee. Lu Qian smiled, as expected. Really, big brother Lin Feng, you really hit it well. Qin Ro pouted. Wang Hao's face also showed an expression of disbelief. Although he already guessed it, when he heard Lin Feng admit it himself, he felt it was still incomparably shocking. Fire Spirit Master, that was such a high existence. All warriors clearly understood the terror of a Sky Spirit Master. The primordial fire of a Fire Spirit Master was 3 levels higher than the physical fitness. Killing Greedy Wolf, Zhu Feng? It was indeed like cutting vegetables. I hope everyone can keep this a secret from me. This is not a small matter. Lin Feng looked around at the 3 people and said seriously, once the identity of a Fire Spirit Master is revealed, I may be in big trouble or even be killed. Don't worry, I believe that Qin Ro and Wang Hao are not that kind of people. Lu Qian smiled. Qin Ro nodded vigorously. Big brother Lin Feng, I promise not to leak a word. I won't even tell Dad. Wang Hao also smiled and said, yeah, we are a team. In the future, if we follow a Fire Spirit Master like you, we will live well and drink well. As they spoke, everyone couldn't help but laugh happily. Indeed, other 4-star teams could hunt low-level beast generals, while the Rocket team could hunt mid-level beast generals. How could this efficiency be compared? A Fire Spirit Master was too nature-defying. Lin Feng also smiled, but there was still a trace of worry on his face. The Rocket team could keep this a secret, but Lu Qian glanced at him and said softly, don't worry, Lin Feng. The distance is so far, the Silver Wolf may not be able to see it. Even if it sees it, it may not be able to see clearly. Taking a step back, even if your secret is leaked, at worst your identity will be exposed. With your talent as a Fire Spirit Master, the Scorching Sun sect will definitely protect you. You don't have to worry about your safety. Lin Feng nodded and didn't think too much about it. Indeed, since it was already exposed, even if he didn't want to, there was no point in thinking too much. Counter soldiers with arms, water with an earth weir. After a short rest, The rocket team set off to return to the hunter camp. Lihan's injury was not a small one. Although the short treatment saved his life, it was hard to guarantee that there wouldn't be any sequelae. After all, this arrow injured him too severely. He could only get the best treatment after returning to Cloud Sun City. Moreover, the rocket team had already earned enough from this battle. Damn it, how unlucky. How could the boss be so careless? The silver wolf, Yin Ping, ran at full speed, his expression filled with unwillingness. Just as Lu Qian expected, the silver wolf didn't see how Greedy Wolf died. At that time, he was completely focused on Lu Qian and didn't dare to be distracted. One must know that Lu Qian was the top 5 godly archer in the 4-star team. Although the silver wolf was conceited, other than his strength that surpassed Lu Qian, his accuracy, shooting speed, and so on, he was inferior to her. Otherwise, the Greedy Wolf team wouldn't have been ranked behind the rocket team. Moreover, regarding Greedy Wolf, the silver wolf was 120% assured. Who would have thought that the old horse lost its hooves? He actually died in the hands of an unknown little guy. Lin Feng, the silver wolf, grinned. He indeed felt that Greedy Wolf's death was unjust. Although he didn't see how Lin Feng killed Greedy Wolf, he thought that Lin Feng, a newcomer, couldn't possibly be stronger than Greedy Wolf. However, the truth was in front of him. Greedy Wolf was indeed dead. This is troublesome. Not only the Firmament martial sect, I can't even go back to Firmament City. The silver wolf sighed, shook his head, and immediately disappeared into the ruins of Error. They came through thorns and thorns, but on the way back, it was smooth sailing. The further they went, the more warrior teams they saw. All of them were here for the Earth Spirit Pill. The magical beasts in the outer area of the ruins of Error were crazily slaughtered. As a result, the rocket team didn't encounter too much danger along the way. Those that they could avoid were easily killed by Lin Feng alone. Attack power, 24,000 gene. Body movement, proficient level small success. Indeed, Lin Feng could easily kill a beginner-level beast general. During this time, Lihan woke up, but his body was still very weak. When he asked about the enemy attack, everyone joked about it. It wasn't that they didn't trust Lihan, but Lin Feng's identity as a fire spirit master was less dangerous. 2 days later, the rocket team safely returned to the hunter's camp. We're finally back. Lu Qian smiled slightly. Lin Feng also smiled and nodded. After going through so many storms, it was indeed a great fortune to be able to return safely. Looking around and breathing in the free air, Lin Feng was slightly surprised. As far as his eyes could see, the entire hunter's camp was packed with people. It was bustling with activity, and there were warriors everywhere. The noise and shouting were lively and varied. It was a completely different scene from when he and his team had set off. They should all be here for the Earth Spirit Pill. Lin Feng smiled in realization. It was worth tens of thousands of Tianwu coins. An ordinary 4-star team might not be able to earn this amount in 1 or 2 years. Who wouldn't covet it? And his team was like pulling chestnuts out of a fire, secretly picking up a big bargain under everyone's eyes. Lin Feng turned to look at the rocket team. Everyone's eyes were shining, and they were suppressing the ecstasy in their hearts. It was indeed what he had thought. This time, they had definitely made a fortune. Let's go back to the sky, Sun Marshal Gate. Lu Qian smiled slightly. Yeah, okay. Qin Ro and Wang Hao smiled. Lin Feng smiled and nodded. He looked at Lu Qian's back. She was an ice beauty when he first met her. Now, her ice ring had completely disappeared. Sister Qian had become cheerful and loved to smile. He didn't know if it was because of the great harvest or because she had taken revenge. No matter what, it's a good thing. Lin Feng smiled. I wonder how much I can earn this time. Lin Feng murmured in his heart. He immediately caught up with the team. At the beginning of the 4th episode, a huge world will slowly unfold. Look forward to it. Continue to seek recommendation votes ***. Chapter 62. Returning to the Firmament Sun Martial Sect. Lin Feng felt much more at home and comfortable. This is my true home. Lin Feng couldn't help but recall the dilapidated and tattered ruins of as he gazed at the flourishing flowers. A common scene from his childhood suddenly appeared in his mind. A large group of magical beasts appearing from the boundless wilderness and launching attacks on humans. Every time he was in the Lin family village, he could see the energy barrier. If he was lucky, he could even see the legendary martial artists. When he was young, he was full of reverence and yearning for martial artists. If there were no martial artists, perhaps the Lin family village, Firmament Sun City, and the entire Sky Martial Continent would end up like the ruins of Lin Feng muttered to himself. Just as he was thinking, Lu Qian's clear voice rang in his ears. Lin Feng, come up. Coming. Lin Feng nodded with a smile and followed the fiery arrow squad to the third floor. The third floor was where the 4-star squads sold their spoils of war and exchanged them for contribution points. Lin Feng looked around curiously. He saw a vast area and could smell the stench of demonic beasts in the air from time to time. The various martial artist squads were scattered around, returning from a rewarding journey. They all had bright smiles on their faces as they tallied their gains. There was also a small group of people with faint grief. They were either seriously injured like Li Han or died under the claws of demonic beasts. In the endless wilderness, the mortality rate was extremely high. Wait for me here, Lu Qian said with a smile. Everyone agreed. Lin Feng also nodded. He had heard from Lu Qian that in order to avoid unnecessary trouble, all transactions over 10,000 Sky Martial coins were carried out in sealed rooms. It was inevitable that there would be martial artists with ulterior motives when there were too many people around. An average 4-star squad's monthly income was about 2,500 Sky Martial coins. It was extremely rare for them to earn more than 10,000 Sky Martial coins. Golden Eagle, you're amazing. Looks like the Fiery Sun Sect's quota this year will fall into your Flying Dragon Squad's hands again. A conversation came from not far away. Lin Feng couldn't help but look over curiously when he heard the name Flying Dragon Squad. As far as he knew, the Flying Dragon Squad was ranked first among the 4-star squads last year. They had a total of 535 points, and they were the only squad with more than 500 points. As for the Rocket Squad, they only had 288 points and were ranked 75th. There are still more than 3 months left. The final result is still uncertain. The man named Golden Eagle smiled faintly. Although his words were humble, his eyes were filled with confidence. Suddenly, he glanced at Lin Feng. He nodded to the man beside him and walked over. The annoying fellow is here again. Qin Ro snorted. Lin Feng was surprised. You know him? Qin Ro? Judging from Qin Ro's appearance and reaction, it was obvious that the two of them had a special relationship. Golden Eagle, Wang Xianglong, a level 1 genius. He joined the Flying Dragon Squad last year and became the captain this year. He's very strong, Wang Hao said softly with a hint of jealousy in his voice. He's in the top 5 among all the beginner Grand Martial Masters in the Firmament Martial Sect. He's much stronger than Zhu Feng, the Greedy Wolf. Stronger than Zhu Feng, the Greedy Wolf? Lin Feng was surprised. It made sense. How could a person who could hold the position of the strongest 4-star squad's captain be weak? He's just an egomaniac. Qin Ro looked away. Little sister Qin Ro, long time no see. The Golden Eagle, Wang Xianglong, had a courteous smile on his face. Who want to see you? Qin Ro deliberately avoided looking at him. Looking at this scene, Lin Feng couldn't help but laugh. Qin Ro's behavior reminded him of how she had treated him before. For a moment, it was as if time had turned back. Golden Eagle Wang Xianglong's face flashed with embarrassment and anger. He glanced at Lin Feng and said, "This little brother looks unfamiliar. Are you a newcomer?" "Hello, senior martial brother. I'm Lin Feng." Lin Feng smiled and nodded. "You're Lin Feng?" Wang Xianglong's eyebrows relaxed, and he smiled indifferently. "I've heard my younger brother, Wang Aolong, mention you. In order to surpass you, he's been practicing with all his might. Speaking of which, as your big brother, I really have to thank you." As he spoke, he couldn't help but pat Lin Feng's shoulder. Lin Feng smiled and didn't mind Wang Xianglong's tone. Eh. Wang Xianglong's tone suddenly changed. Lin Feng, aren't you an intermediate martial warrior? How did you join the 4-star squad? The order seems wrong. It was arranged by the sovereign. Lin Feng nodded. I see. Wang Xianglong's eyes flashed, and he looked at Qinro. He couldn't help but smile and said, Sovereign is really something. Even if the rocket squad is lacking people, he can't let an elite 4-star squad lead a newcomer, right? No wonder the rocket squad's points dropped out of the top 100. Self-righteous. Big brother Lin Feng is our close combat firepower. Qinro pouted. Close combat firepower? Him? Wang Xianglong sneered and suddenly burst out laughing. Little sister Qinro, don't joke around. This joke isn't funny at all. Lin Feng frowned. Wang Xianglong's arrogance made him feel a bit disgusted. Wang Aolong's arrogance wasn't annoying, but Wang Xianglong's arrogance made people feel uncomfortable. Who's joking? Qinro put her hands on her hips and raised her head. Big brother Lin Feng can hunt a gray-toothed tiger alone. Can you? You egomaniac. Qinro, Lin Feng yelled. Qinro's temper didn't give way to anyone. If he continued, he was afraid that even his identity as a fire spirit master would be revealed by her. The little girl caught a glimpse of Lin Feng's eyes and couldn't help but stick out her little tongue. The more you boast, the more outrageous it gets. Wang Xianglong smiled and said, How can a mid-level warrior kill a mid-level beast general? Moreover, it's a gray-toothed tiger. Even our flying dragon squad doesn't dare to boast so shamelessly. If he can kill a gray-toothed tiger, then my name Golden Eagle will be written backwards. Ha ha ha. Qinro turned her head and pouted angrily. Lin Feng smiled. It was fine if he was being sarcastic, but if he didn't fight back after being stepped on like this, then he wouldn't be Lin Feng. Even Buddha has fire. Senior, are you part of the Flying Dragon squad? Lin Feng asked indifferently. Wang Xianglong let out a soft his expression carrying a hint of arrogance. He didn't even glance at Lin Feng out of the corner of his eyes. Lin Feng's mouth curved slightly as he slowly said, I don't know if Senior dares to make a bet. His voice was neither servile nor overbearing. Wang Xianglong's eyes flashed fiercely, because what Lin Feng said was dare or not willing or not. The meaning behind it was as different as heaven and earth. What do you want to bet? Wang Xianglong snorted coldly. Lin Feng smiled indifferently, but his smile instantly froze and his voice grew louder. Let's bet that this year's points will be the Flying Dragon Squad's #1, or our Rocket Squad's #1. His sincere and confident voice spread throughout the entire 3rd floor, instantly attracting everyone's attention. If you want to make a fuss, then make a big fuss. Lin Feng was also someone who wasn't afraid, even if the sky fell down. Just as Qin Lai said, this was how a warrior should be. Betting points? Wang Xianglong was stunned, then suddenly raised his head and laughed loudly, as if he had heard the most ridiculous and hilarious joke. Not only him, the surrounding 4-star squads were also discussing spiritedly, and all of them were laughing. Competing points with the Flying Dragon Squad, who is currently far ahead in 1st place. This was simply an old man who wanted to hang himself, tired of living. The Rocket Squad's points were 145.7, while the Flying Dragon Squad, 401. 5 points. The difference was more than double. Let's bet a little bit less. Lin Feng smiled indifferently, looking at Wang Xianglong's arrogant face, and said indifferently, How about 30,000 Tian Wu coins? His voice was still that calm, as if he was talking about a very ordinary matter. But Wang Xianglong's face instantly turned ashen. In a split second, the entire 3rd floor was silent. Everyone looked at each other with a look of disbelief on their faces. It was as if they were saying, Did I hear wrongly? That was 30,000 Tian Wu coins. How many 4-star squads could earn 30,000 Tian Wu coins a year? Junior martial grandmasters who could earn 30,000 Tian Wu coins a year were even rarer. Don't tell me you don't dare to accept it? Lin Feng smiled slightly. Who says I don't dare to accept it? Wang Xianglong's voice clearly changed, as if he was lacking confidence. His intuition told him that this matter was not so simple. However, in front of so many people, if he rejected it, not only him, but the entire Flying Dragon Squad would not be able to raise their heads in the future. I'm afraid you don't have that much money and can't afford to lose. It's only 30,000 Tian Wu coins. I have more than that. Qin Ro pouted. Don't worry, I have it, Lin Feng said with a smile. How could he fight a battle he was not confident in? He had already calculated in his heart. After selling the Earth's spiritual pill, the gray-toothed tiger's fang, and the other spoils of war, he should be able to get more than 20,000 Tian Wu coins, plus the remaining 11,400 Tian Wu coins in the hunter card. It was more than enough. Fine, I'll accompany you. Wang Xianglong gritted his teeth. 30,000 Tian Wu coins was almost all he had. He looked around and said loudly, Everyone here, please be witnesses. I, Golden Eagle, will bet with Lin Feng today. After saying that, he glanced at the members of the Flying Dragon Squad, snorted heavily, and left. After Wang Xianglong left, the surroundings suddenly became noisy. Heavens, 30,000 Tian Wu coins? Who is this Lin Feng? Who knows, but betting points with the Flying Dragon Squad isn't a little too funny? TSK, who knows? He's rich. From time to time, mockery and ridicule could be heard, but Lin Feng just smiled faintly. No matter what they said, it would not change the result. This bet was simply an unfair bet. He had already won long ago. Points? One Earth spiritual pill was enough. Lin Feng, you're really bold. At this time, Lu Qian walked over with a smile on her face. Golden Eagle is going to suffer in silence this time. He's going to lose a lot of money. No matter how hard the Flying Dragon Squad tries, it's already not bad if they can get more than 600 points. And one Earth spiritual pill for us is worth 500 points. Qin Ro covered her mouth and laughed. I wonder how this arrogant guy will react when he sees the rankings. Lin Feng smiled. Sister Qian had already asked about the value of the Earth's spiritual pill. Even if he took a step back and thought about it, with his strength as a fire spiritual master, how could he win the points of the Flying Dragon Squad by killing a few middle-grade beast generals? It was too easy. Blame him for being too arrogant. Lin Feng shook his head and said casually, Let's go, Sister Qian. A smile appeared on Wang Hao and Qin Ro's faces. They couldn't wait any longer. This time, they would definitely make a lot of money from the spoils of war. A month has passed, and I've magnificently retired from the new book list. Please continue to recommend me ****. Chapter 63. The members of the Rocket Squad followed Lu Qian through several corridors and soon came to a large lounge. Lin Feng looked around. There were many flowers and plants planted here, and their fragrance was pleasant. It was very quiet and secluded. There were hundreds of square meters of space. At this time, many warriors were quietly waiting for Deacon Han to receive them, but they saw a team of warriors didn't need to wait and directly walked into Deacon Han's exclusive room. This way, please. The disciple in charge of receiving them directly led Lin Feng and the others into the room. In the room, Lin Feng looked around. The surrounding decorations were sparkling and translucent. There were pearls and jadeite, and the decoration was magnificent. There were all kinds of flowers and plants around the room, with a strong floral fragrance that made people feel relaxed and happy. This Deacon Han is an elegant person, Lin Feng secretly said. Welcome, Rocket Squad. A handsome man in gorgeous clothes walked over with a smile. His gaze swept across the crowd, and he bowed slightly to Qin Ro. Greetings, Mississippi, come please sit here. The handsome man smiled and made a gesture of invitation. Lin Feng saw Lu Qian nod to him, and the two sat down. The handsome man's smile suddenly stopped, and with a slightly surprised expression, his shining eyes couldn't help but stay on Lin Feng for 2 more seconds. He suddenly stretched out his right hand and smiled. This Han is blind. I wonder who this little brother is. Lin Feng. With a handshake and a release, Lin Feng smiled and said, "Hello, Deacon Han." The transactions of the team were decided by the captain and vice-captain, so Deacon Han was so surprised. Lu Qian's move undoubtedly affirmed Lin Feng's position in the rocket squad. "Oh, I remember. Is it Lin Feng, who is ranked first in this year's Warrior Combat Assessment?" Seeing Lin Feng lightly nod his head, Deacon Han couldn't help but smile and say, "Sure enough, you're worthy of being the genius that the sect master has taken a fancy to. You're really amazing. I wonder what good stuff did your rocket squad bring this time?" Lin Feng replied with a smile. This Deacon Han was indeed good at socializing. With just a few words, he was able to make people feel cordial and comfortable. Without wasting any more time, Lin Feng immediately took out the Earth Spiritual Pill. In an instant, a faint earthy yellow glow appeared, and the entire room was filled with vitality. It was refreshing. Earth Spiritual Pill. Deacon Han's eyes lit up. Deacon Han has good eyesight. Lu Qian chuckled. "It's just that my skills are better." Deacon Han smiled and took the Earth Spiritual Pill from Lin Feng's hands. He weighed it in his hand and carefully examined it. "If my guess is correct, this Earth Spiritual Pill is the 5-star mission issued by the Hunter Mission Hall 2 days ago, right?" Lu Qian hummed softly. It was indeed from the ruins of Oh! Deacon Han gently caressed the Earth Spiritual Pill and carefully studied it. He casually asked, "Lu Qian, do you know about the Hunter Mission Hall's reward?" 50,000 Tian Wu coins and 1,000 contribution points. Lu Qian nodded. Lin Feng was slightly surprised. He had heard from Lu Qian that this Earth Spiritual Pill was worth 40 to 50,000 Tian Wu coins and 500 contribution points. He didn't expect the Hunter Mission Hall's contribution points reward to be so high. It was more than double. It's indeed a grade 8 Earth Spiritual Pill. Deacon Han lightly sighed. He raised his head and said, "You know the rules, right?" Lin Feng was surprised. This Earth Spiritual Pill was divided into grades. Lu Qian nodded. Contribution points will be converted to contribution points and 90% profit. Then Lu Qian smiled and said, "But this profit, I wonder if Deacon Han can increase it a little?" Deacon Han gently put down the Earth Spiritual Pill. His bright eyes swept over Lin Feng and Lu Qian. He suddenly smiled brightly. "No problem. It's just 5,000 Tian Wu coins. I'll give it to you as a present to congratulate you in advance for getting a spot to enter the Scorching Sun sect. If you want more, I'll have to pay out of my own pocket, haha." "Thank you, Deacon." Lu Qian smiled. Lin Feng smiled and nodded. Although Deacon Han didn't care about 5,000 Tian Wu coins, it was a large sum for the rocket squad. It would take a 4-star squad 2 months to earn 5,000 Tian Wu coins, and it would be smooth sailing. But now, Sister Qian only needed to say one word, and Deacon Han gave it to them as a favor. He was indeed rich. "Uncle Han, Earth Spiritual Pills are divided into grades?" Qin Ro couldn't help but interrupt. Lin Feng's eyes also brightened. Qin Ro's question was exactly what he was wondering. He couldn't help but look at Deacon Han. Of course, inner cores are divided into 9 grades. The difference lies in the type of demonic beast and the time it takes to form. Deacon Han explained with a smile. Unlike origin seeds that exist naturally, the inner core of a spirit beast must absorb enough origin energy. It's like a seed that can only be born after a long time of gestation. Of course, the prerequisite is that the spirit beast must have the seed in its body. Deacon Han added, "I see." Lin Feng nodded. Obviously, the better the seed and the longer the gestation, the higher the quality. That big lizard is so weak. It only managed to gestate an 8th grade Earth Spiritual Pill. Qin Ro snorted with a look of disdain, but it made Qin Ro chuckle. "Sister Qin Ro, if this Xuanhu lizard was a little stronger, we wouldn't be able to deal with it." Deacon Han also smiled. "Actually, it's not bad. The possibility of the Xuanhu lizard gestating a 7th grade Earth Spiritual Pill is very small. With its aptitude, the possibility of gestating a 9th grade Earth Spiritual Pill is 80%. Seems like we're quite lucky. Lin Feng smiled. Not at all. Qin Ro pouted and pinched her nose. For this earth's spiritual pill, the stupid bull is blind in one eye. The bull is blind? Deacon Han naturally knew who the stupid bull Qin Ro was talking about was. He took a long breath and couldn't help but sigh. The price is indeed high. Although there is a medicine that can restore the sight of both eyes, the price is frighteningly high. Even I can't afford it. Restore the sight of both eyes? Lin Feng was confused. When he had just become a warrior, he had searched for this medicine and spiritual herbs in the Hunter virtual store. However, he didn't find anything except healing. Although Lin Feng had never given up hope, he also knew that the hope was very slim. But now, he heard it with his own ears. Listening to Deacon Han's tone, it really did exist. Is there such a medicine? Qin Ro exclaimed and instantly smiled. That's great. I'll ask Father to buy it. Deacon Han, what kind of medicine is this? Can it restore the sight of both eyes? Lin Feng's eyes widened in excitement as he asked. Heavens! If he could let his brother see the light of day again and let him live a normal life, it would be worth it even if he risked his life. His palms were sweating uncontrollably. To Lin Feng, this was more important than anything else. This urgent expression startled the members of the rocket squad. Lu Qian looked at Lin Feng in shock. She had always seen this calm and collected youth who didn't match his age. At this moment, he seemed to have gone crazy. Yes, dragon on medicine, but... Deacon Han looked at Lin Feng and then at Qin Ro. He shook his head and said, Young miss, let alone the sect master, even Emperor Wu can't afford this medicine. There aren't many people who can afford it. It's refined from the eye essence of a real dragon. Each portion is worth 10 million Tianwu coins. 10 million? Whether it was Wang Hao, Qin Ro, or even Lu Qian, they were all dumbfounded. This amount was far from ordinary. It was truly unattainable. You have to know that every real dragon is an invincible existence that surpasses the level of a horde leader. Deacon Han sighed softly. Lin Feng's breathing gradually calmed down. His eyes shone with incomparable determination as he clenched his fists tightly. Whether it was 10 million, 100 million, or even 1 billion, he didn't care how expensive it was. As long as this possibility existed, he would use all his strength and methods to fight for it. Ayun, I will definitely let you see the light of day again. I will let you see father, mother, and this colorful world. Definitely. Lin Feng swore inwardly. After leaving the third floor, Lin Feng's emotions were still fluctuating. He found it difficult to calm down. He was very clear how far it was to rely on his own 2 hands to earn 10 million Tianwu coins. The difficulty was extremely high. With my current strength, I can definitely kill low-level beast generals alone, Lin Feng muttered to himself. He had advantages that others didn't have. Movement techniques, attack power, and almost unlimited stamina. These were all his survival skills. Most importantly, if he hunted magical beasts alone, he would obtain. That would be 100% profit. A low-level beast general could be sold for 10,000 to 30,000 Tianwu coins. Even if it was 20,000 Tianwu coins on average, he would still have to kill 500 of them. One had to know that the stronger a magical beast was, the higher its intelligence, and the harder it was to kill it. As for a horde leader, its intelligence was no different from an ordinary youth. Moreover, with his current strength, killing a high-level beast general was too difficult. Although a fire warrior's attack is strong, but Lin Feng shook his head. The danger was too great. Not to mention a high-level beast general. Even a mid-level beast general could easily tear him to pieces. One had to know that in the endless wilderness, every second was filled with all kinds of dangers. Magical beasts couldn't stay in the same place forever for you to kill. I can only plan step by step. I can't be too hasty. Lin Feng nodded. He understood. The more anxious he was, the more mistakes he would make. It hadn't even been a month since he became a warrior. He still had time. Looking at the overjoyed members of the rocket squad, Lin Feng couldn't help but smile. This time his harvest was bountiful. He had earned a lot. But the most important thing, it was points. A relatively rich amount of points. This was relatively important for any four-star team. For himself, it also had a special meaning to it. With a calm smile, Lin Feng quickly walked into the first floor with everyone. In a split second, an earth-shattering sound came straight at him. I had something to do this afternoon, so I sent it early. Hey, please recommend me. Chapter 64. Piercing Cloud, Arrow Lu Qian. Look, it's the Rocket Squad. Among warriors, the ratio of men to women was 8-2. Lu Qian was not only beautiful, but her strength was also extraordinary. Therefore, she was quite famous. Her light green bow, her tall and exquisite figure, and her beautiful face had long become her trademark. For a moment, there were endless discussions and noises. Listening to everyone's gossip and feeling their jealous and envious gazes, Lin Feng turned around to look at the members of the Rocket Squad and smiled helplessly. Obviously, paper couldn't wrap the fire. If it was only 50 or 100 points, it might not attract too much attention. However, the Rocket Squad had obtained almost 600 points from the Earth Spirit Pill, the Gray-Tooth Tiger's Fong, and other spoils of war. Who didn't know? One must know that the Flying Dragon Squad, which was ranked first among the four-star squads, only had 401. 5 points. Quite efficient, Lin Feng said with a faint smile. In just half an hour after they left, the points were refreshed. 596. 3 points, plus the original 145. 7 points. Lu Qian's beautiful eyes twinkled as she said with a smile. Our current points are 742 points. Everyone was in an uproar, and Lin Feng also shook his head in amazement. This point was 100 points higher than the Flying Dragon Squad, which was ranked first last year. Glancing at the point counter nearby, it just so happened that the four-star squads were ranked first. Lin Feng's mouth curved into a smile. He saw that the Rocket Squad, which had fallen to 189th place, had now replaced the Flying Dragon Squad and proudly occupied the first place. Their points were just as Sister Qian said, 742 points. They were far ahead. Lin Feng, a voice that was gnashing teeth sounded. Hearing this familiar voice, Lin Feng couldn't help but look back. He saw that the Golden Eagle, Wang Xianglong, was so angry that his face turned green. He couldn't help but laugh. Senior brother, hello. Hello, my ass. Wang Xianglong couldn't help but curse. As soon as he said this, many warriors who knew the inside story laughed. Wang Xianglong's face reddened. He knew that he had lost his composure. He gritted his teeth and glanced at Lu Qian. Did you guys complete the Earth Spirit Pill mission? Lu Qian smiled, but did not reply. This was not difficult to guess. Clearly, Wang Xianglong was not stupid. Egomaniac. Qinro made a face and snorted. Now you have nothing to say. Me, Wang Xianglong, was at a loss for words. He glared fiercely at Lin Feng and said, Lin Feng, you dare to scheme against me. Senior brother, you're being too serious. Lin Feng smiled faintly and glanced at Wang Xianglong. Could it be? Senior brother wants to go back on his word? Wang Xianglong snorted coldly. I, the Golden Eagle, am not that kind of petty person. I can afford to lose 30,000 Tian Wu coins. As he said this, Wang Xianglong raised his head. His eyes sparkled, but he did not admit defeat. Don't be too happy. There's still 3 months. The winner is still unknown. Lin Feng smiled. He could not help but change his opinion of Wang Xianglong. At the very least, his unyielding character was something that he quite admired. Good luck. Qinro winked playfully. You win. Wang Xianglong stared straight at Lin Feng. He snorted angrily and turned to leave. Yay! Qinro jumped happily. She pulled Lin Feng's arm and said excitedly, I'm so happy. Big brother Lin Feng, this is the first time I saw that egomaniac suffer. He must be so angry that his lungs are about to explode. As she spoke, she obviously did not notice how intimate she was with Lin Feng. Lin Feng didn't feel much about it. He had always treated Qinro as his younger sister. Shui, or usually liked to play with him like this. However, in the eyes of others, it was completely different. Everyone looked at Lin Feng in a different way. Even Wang Hao smiled unnaturally. His eyes were full of jealousy. Lu Qian shook her head. 30,000 Tian Wu coins. Not many junior martial grandmasters can take out such a huge amount of money. Then she looked at the members of the rocket squad. She took out her Scorching Sun card and smiled. What are you waiting for? Let's split the money. I was waiting for you to say that, Sister Qian. Lin Feng smiled. On the 11th floor of the Cloud Sun Martial Gate. As a junior martial grandmaster, Lu Qian had her own room in the Cloud Sun Martial Gate. However, it was only a little more than 100 square meters. It was used for daily rest. After all, it was easy for an ordinary martial grandmaster to buy an independent house in Cloud Sun City. At this moment, the 4 members of the rocket squad were sitting around a table. Their eyes were shining. They were splitting the money. The Tian Wu coins from this hunt are divided into 3 parts. The first part is what we usually get from hunting. After deducting the small change, it's 6,400 Tian Wu coins. The second part is the Earth Spirit Pill. It's worth 50,000 Tian Wu coins. The third part. Lu Qian paused and looked at Lin Feng. It's the gray-toothed tiger that Lin Feng hunted alone. It's worth 8,000 Tian Wu coins. Lin Feng could not help but exclaim. He did not expect the fangs of a gray-toothed tiger to be so valuable. The rocket squad had been busy for so many days, but it was not as valuable as a gray-toothed tiger that he had conveniently killed. Mid-level beast generals. It's really profitable, Lin Feng thought to himself. If it was an ordinary mid-level beast generals, it would only be 1 or 2,000 Tian Wu coins. It just so happened that it was a gray-toothed tiger. For example, the Iron Ridge Mountain Boar King, which was extremely rare among low-level beast generals, was sold for 2,700 Tian Wu coins. It accounted for almost half of the profit from low-level beast generals. Magical beasts of the same level could be very different in value. The points will be divided according to the ratio. However, the Tian Wu coins will be distributed according to the amount of effort earned. Each part will be different. Lu Qian looked at Lin Feng and said slowly. Lin Feng nodded. He understood that Sister Qian was mainly explaining it to him. Wang Hao and Qin Ro should already know. For the first part, Lin Feng and I will take 30%, 1920 Tian Wu coins each. Han Yo will take 20%, 1280 Tian Wu coins each. Qin Ro and Wang Hao will take 10%, 640 Tian Wu coins each. Lu Qian looked at everyone and continued. For the second part, Lin Feng and I will take 40%, 20,000 Tian Wu coins each. Wang Hao will take 10%, 5,000 Tian Wu coins each. Han Yo and Qin Ro will take 2,500 Tian Wu coins each. When Wang Hao heard 5,000 Tian Wu coins, he immediately smiled. One had to know that he could not earn that much in a year. Do you have any objections? Lu Qian asked. Wang Hao and Qin Ro shook their heads. The distribution was very fair. Since Han Yo and Qin Ro did not put in any effort, they could only take 5%. Yes, Lin Feng suddenly said. Everyone was astonished. Lin Feng, Lu Qian pursed her lips. She thought that Lin Feng was not satisfied with the 40%. She did not know what to say. After all, Lin Feng had taken the greatest credit for obtaining the Earth Spirit Pill and breaking through the encirclement to protect it. Lin Feng shook his head. He looked a little sad. Sister Qian, I want to give 10% to Brother Niu. Although 5,000 Tian Wu coins did not mean much, it was a small token of his appreciation. He wanted to do something for Brother Niu. After all, Brother Niu was the one who took care of him the most in the rocket squad. I was too stingy. Lu Qian smiled and looked at Lin Feng with a hint of guilt. I risked my life with Han Yo for more than 2 years, but I only cared about myself. I was not as thoughtful as you, Lin Feng. How about this? I will also give up 10%. Me too. I will also give 5% to Stupid Ox. Qin Ro nodded heavily. Lin Feng smiled. Although 2,500 Tian Wu coins was not much to Qin Ro, it was enough to see that she was very kind. Wang Hao lowered his head and did not say anything. His expression kept changing. He should show some appreciation, but he could not bear to. Okay, then we will distribute it like this. Lu Qian nodded. I, Lin Feng, and Han Yo will each take 30%, which is 15,000 Tianwu coins. Wang Hao will take 5,000 Tianwu coins. Then, she looked away. Finally, Lin Feng will take 80% of the third part of the gray-toothed tiger's fangs because he killed it alone, which is 6,400 Tianwu coins. The rest will each take 400 Tianwu coins. Lin Feng nodded. He did not have any objections. It would be too pretentious if he were to be coy. 1920 plus 15,000 plus 6,400, a total of 23,320 Tianwu coins. Lin Feng calculated and could not help but be amazed by the number. This is a martial artist. Lin Feng knew very well what brought him such a huge amount of wealth. Strength. The stronger one was, the more he would get. I want to become stronger and earn more Tianwu coins. Lin Feng nodded. He knew very well what he wanted. This amount of money might be a huge amount for a junior martial grandmaster, but his goal was 10 million Tianwu coins. Through the transfer function of the Scorching Sun Treasury, Lu Qian quickly distributed everyone's gains. Lin Feng took the biggest share, which made everyone envious. Big brother Lin Feng, you're really amazing. In less than 10 days, you've earned more than me in a year. Qin Ro pursed her lips. She was envious. Yeah, Lin Feng, you've earned so much this time. You have to treat us. Wang Hao smiled. No problem. Lin Feng smiled and nodded. Looking at the 23,320 Tianwu coins in the Scorching Sun card, he felt a little excited. Not long ago, he could not even take out 2 gold coins. Now he had earned tens of thousands of Tianwu coins. Everything changed too quickly. Sighing softly, Lin Feng looked at Lu Qian. Seeing her expression change, he could not help but ask, Sister Qian, do you have something to say? When these words were spoken, Wang Hao and Qin Ro also raised their heads. Lu Qian nodded and looked at everyone. She said softly, Thank you. Lin Feng smiled. He immediately understood what Lu Qian meant. At the end of the year, the rocket squad would get a spot to enter the Scorching Sun sect. According to the rules, Vice Captain Lu Qian would automatically get a spot. Sister, congratulations. Qin Ro smiled. Yeah, Sister Qian, your wish has finally come true. Wang Hao smiled. Biting her lips lightly, Lu Qian said, My current strength is close to that of an intermediate martial grandmaster. I plan to concentrate on my cultivation for the rest of the time. I hope that I can break through before entering the Scorching Sun sect, so. As she spoke, Lu Qian could not help but look apologetically at the crowd. Wang Hao was a little unhappy. Sister Qian, what should we do? Don't worry, Sister Qian. Lin Feng smiled. Do what you want to do. Yes, sister. Qin Ro puffed out her chest and put her hands on her hips. I'm all grown up now. I could take care of myself. Lu Qian hummed softly and revealed a relieved smile. Thank you. Lin Feng felt gratified when he saw that bright smile. It was as if he saw the old Sister Qian, the cheerful Sister Qian that Brother Nyo mentioned. After avenging Brother Hua and achieving her wish, Sister Qian had finally found her true self. Especially you, Lin Feng. Lu Qian's eyes were filled with vigor. Lin Feng was stunned. Suddenly, he saw Sister Qian come close to him. In a split second, he felt a gentle warmth on his face. Please recommend me. Thank you, everyone. Carrot, carrot. Chapter 65. Lin Feng felt a tingling sensation on his face. He could not react for a moment. Sister Qian kissed him. Wang Hao was stunned. Qin Ro was even more stunned. Lin Feng did not recover for a long time. Sister, how can you do this? Qin Ro stamped her feet and pursed her lips. Her face was red and she pouted. When Wang Hao saw this, his eyes couldn't help but darken even more. Lin Feng looked up and met Lu Qian's eyes. He stared at her clear eyes, as if there were no impurities. He understood in an instant. This was gratitude, not love. As Brother Nyo said, although Sister Qian and Brother Ho were not related, in Sister Qian's heart, they had always been. He was the only one. Lin Feng smiled faintly. Sister Qian, your gift is too generous. Lu Qian shook her head and smiled. This is my sincere blessing, Lin Feng. I believe you will enter the Scorching Sun sect one day. Scorching Sun sect? Every Firmament Sun Martial Gate disciple's dream was to enter the Scorching Sun sect, one of the 5 major sections. Sister Qian, Brother Niu, and Qin Ro were the same. But for him, I will become Emperor Wu and join the hunt, Lin Feng said to himself. After leaving the Firmament Sun Martial Gate, Lin Feng took a moving car to go home. It's really inconvenient. Lin Feng sighed softly. The Firmament Sun Martial Gate was not far from the independent villa in the central area, but it was still a 15-minute drive. Lin Feng did not think it was a big deal at first, but he was envious when he saw Qin Ro use the transmission array to go home. That was fast. A primary transmission array that can record 10 coordinates only costs 1,000 Tianwu coins. Lin Feng smiled. I'll buy one later. Not only me, but also my family can use it. It's much more convenient. He had no money at that time, so he had to save every gold coin. But now it was different. Shui said that the effects of the nourishing pool are not bad. My family can use it. Let's buy another one then. Buy some precious medicinal herbs to nourish mother's body. Hire a few more maidservants to serve father and mother. Hire a teacher to teach Yun, and Shui. With money, he could let his family live a better life. But I can't mention the Dragon Eye Potion for now. Lin Feng thought to himself. He was very clear that he could let his family live comfortably for now. But to earn 10 million Tianwu coins was a rather long-term goal. It wasn't something that could be accomplished overnight. After going through many tests, Lin Feng walked into the independent villa area in the central district, his heart filled with joy. Although he had only been away from home for less than 10 days, he had experienced a bloody storm in the endless wilderness. Feeling the merciless slaughter, he couldn't help but miss the warmth of home. Everyone had their own spiritual sustenance, and Lin Feng's sustenance was his home. Father, mother. Lin Feng saw the 2 elders from afar and shouted with a smile. At this moment, his mother, Lin Wanqing, was pushing his father, Lin Xiaotian, in the garden, admiring the scenery and basking in the sun. Although there was no one beside her to serve her, he could still see that his mother's mood was rather good. As for his father, his expression didn't seem so deep anymore. Fenger is back. Lin Wanqing was startled and instantly shouted with joy. Immediately, the villa's door was knocked open with a bang sound. A fairy-like figure scuttled out with an excited expression. Brother, Lin Shui shouted happily. Hearing this familiar voice, Lin Feng revealed a smile from the bottom of his heart. He gently hugged his sister and glanced at the door of the villa. His younger brother, Lin Yun, was also standing there with a smile. Looking at the happy faces, Lin Feng immediately felt a warm current. I'm back. Lin Feng smiled and nodded. After returning home, Lin Feng was very relaxed. It wasn't like in the endless wilderness where he had to be tense at all times. Who knew if a magical beast would suddenly appear in the next second? Brother, is that profound hornbeam lizard really more than 20 meters long? Lin Shui widened her eyes and covered her mouth. Yes, it can swallow you in one bite. Lin Feng said with a smile. Lin Shui cried out in surprise, her face showing a bit of shock. Looking at his sister, Lin Feng couldn't help but think of Qin Ro. The little girl was only 2 years older than his sister, but she was already fighting against magical beasts and became a senior warrior at the age of 16. And his sister was still afraid when she heard about magical beasts. However, if he had to let fight against magical beasts, it would be his turn to be on tenterhooks. By the way, didn't you want to learn how to do business? How's it going? Lin Feng asked casually. Lin Shui pouted and snorted. Second brother is bad. He only gave me 100 days of martial arts coins. Stingy. Then how much do you want? Lin Feng smiled. Lin Shui stretched out 5 fingers, 500 days of martial arts coins. Lin Feng didn't hesitate at all and nodded. Okay, I'll give it to you. But do it with your heart, okay? Big brother is the best. Lin Shui happily kissed Lin Feng. Feng brother. Lin Wanqing and Lin Yun immediately called out anxiously. Lin Feng smiled and shook his head. It's okay, mother, brother. How could he not know that Shui was inexperienced and would most likely suffer losses when doing business? But 1 point of failure, 1 point of experience. So what if he had to pay some tuition fees? The most important thing was that Shui liked it. On the 5th floor of the villa, Lin Feng transferred 23,320 days of martial arts coins from his Scorching Sun card. He gave 500 days of martial arts coins to his sister and transferred the rest to his Hunter card out of habit. Soon, Lin Feng's savings in the Hunter virtual store reached an astonishing figure, 34,220 days of martial arts coins. Not to mention advanced warriors, even beginner martial grandmasters only had a few who had so much wealth. Beginner teleportation portal, 1,000 days of martial arts coins. 50% is 500 days of martial arts coins. Beginner healing pool, 1,500 days of martial arts coins. 50% is 700 days of martial arts coins. In the blink of an eye, he had spent 1,250 days of martial arts coins. Lin Feng didn't feel any heartache at all. He entered the category of spiritual herbs and browsed through all kinds of spiritual herbs. He couldn't help but feel dizzy. Spiritual herbs were plants that gathered the essence of heaven and earth. Magical beasts could absorb elemental energy and grow continuously. So could plants. However, it was very difficult for plants to absorb elemental energy on their own. It was 10 times or even 100 times harder than for humans. But plants had a special characteristic. They had a relatively long lifespan. When a plant absorbed enough elemental energy, it would transform into a spiritual herb. Spiritual herbs were extremely rare, and most of them grew in the depths of the wilderness. They were very valuable and could be made into all kinds of medicine or consumed directly. Mother's body still hasn't changed much. Let's see how effective the spiritual herbs are, Lin Feng muttered to himself. Previously, he didn't have the means, but now that he had enough money, Lin Feng naturally didn't feel any reluctance. Although the spiritual herbs, they were very expensive. Consuming them directly is better than making medicine. Lin Feng quickly picked 2 9th-grade spiritual herbs, Yanzi flower and clear ginseng grass. Their characteristics were similar. They were gentle and easy to absorb. After all, his mother, Lin Wanqing, was just an ordinary person. Although she was strengthened by the healing pool, absorbing 9th-grade spiritual herbs was already her limit. 1 for 1,200 days of martial arts coins. 1 for 800 days of martial arts coins. In total, it's 1,000 days of martial arts coins. Lin Feng shook his head and glanced at the other spiritual herbs of the 8th, 7th, and even higher grade. He sighed as he looked at them. Too expensive. The average price of an 8th-grade spiritual herb was about 10,000 days of martial arts coins. Beep! Following the confirmation sound, the transaction was completed quickly. At this moment, there were 31,970 days of martial arts coins left in the Hunter card, but Lin Feng didn't want to buy anything else for the time being. Even if Sister Qian doesn't cultivate in seclusion, I still have to cultivate properly. After leaving the virtual Hunter store, Lin Feng walked to the cultivation room on the 6th floor. My battle strength is already quite good, but my body is still too weak. I'm only a high-rank martial warrior. Lin Feng knew his weakness. If he lacked something, he had to make up for it. If my body's strength could reach the level of a martial grandmaster, I wouldn't need to reveal my identity as a fire spirit master. That spear could kill Tanlang. What he lacked was pure physical speed. While increasing my body's strength to the maximum, I should focus on cultivating my control over fire. Lin Feng thought to himself. It wasn't that he didn't gain anything this time, but it showed him the power of a fire spirit master. He was indeed overbearing and looked down on others. As long as my control over fire reaches the 3rd stage, fire condensation, I can become a firefighter with my characteristics. Only a firefighter can unleash my true strength. Fire martial artists were good at close-range attacks and focused on the power of fire. Firefighters were good at guerrilla warfare and focused on mid-range attacks. Lin Feng was born with a 5th grade fire sensitivity. His aptitude was 1 in a million. The next morning, the things Lin Feng bought were delivered. The elementary teleportation portal could be used after a simple installation. After entering the coordinates and confirming it, the portal could be activated by an energy stone. After entering the coordinates of the first floor of the Cloud Sun Marshal Gate, in an instant, ding. On the light mark of the teleportation array, a clear coordinate point and position appeared, occupying 110. Wow, it's so convenient, Lin Shuai said happily with stars in her eyes. I can go directly to the Cloud Sun Plaza to play in the future. Lin Feng smiled and nodded. The Cloud Sun Plaza was located in the center of Cloud Sun City. It was the busiest and most lively place in the city. All kinds of shops were gathered here. The people of Cloud Sun City liked to stroll there. His mother and sister naturally liked it too. I can also go directly to the library in Cloud Sun City. Lin Yan also smiled. Lin Feng softly said yes. Just as Qin Lai said, the elementary teleportation portal was worth the money. It was much more convenient for the whole family. Only a few energy stones were needed. For him, it was a drop in the bucket. All right, Mother, this is for you. Lin Feng handed over the purple flower and clear ginseng grass and said, Spirit herbs are very effective. After taking one, you have to wait a month for the second one. Also, you have to soak in a nourishing pool more often. I bought this nourishing pool especially for you. This, Fenger, it's too expensive. Lin Wanqing was a little reluctant. After living in Cloud Sun City, Lin Wanqing gradually came into contact with many things and understood many things. Mother, this is Big Brother's kindness. Just accept it, Lin Yun said with a smile. Yes, Mother. I bought it anyway. Lin Shuai nodded. Lin Wanqing smiled helplessly and took the purple flower and clear ginseng grass. She was very touched. She gave birth to a good son who was both capable and filial. It was just that. He had to bear the burden of a family since he was young. He had to bear the burden and pressure that his peers could not bear. Mother, your health is the most important thing. Lin Feng nodded. Looking at half of his mother's white hair and her sickly pale face, Lin Feng sighed and thought of the bitter days in the past. It was all his mother who endured it alone. But now his family had finally made it. It's worth it. Looking at his happy family, Lin Feng felt that his efforts and hard work were not in vain. All right, Feng, your father is looking for you, Lin Wanqing suddenly said. Lin Feng was stunned. Father is looking for me? Please recommend. Chapter 66. In Lin Feng's impression, his father Lin Xiaotian had an indescribable feeling. For as long as he could remember, Lin Feng had never seen his father smile. Without his legs, his father was like a boulder, deep and dispirited. In his memory, his father rarely spoke, and the communication with him was even less. It was normal for him not to speak a word for a few months. But even so, Lin Feng still deeply respected his father. Knock, knock. Lin Feng gently knocked on the door. Come in. A deep voice sounded, and Lin Feng gently pushed the door open. What he saw was the back of a man who had experienced the vicissitudes of life. He was sitting on a chair and looking at the window. His angular face was serious and dignified. Since childhood, his sister Lin Shuai was most afraid of his father, even if he had never scolded or hit anyone. Father, are you looking for me? Lin Feng asked. He didn't know why, but after he became a warrior, he felt like he was looking at a tall mountain when he looked at his father. It was difficult to climb. Well done, Feng. Lin Xiaotian didn't turn his head, and his hoarse voice sounded as if he was talking about something very normal. However, in Lin Feng's ears, it was incomparably shocking. Did he hear it wrong? Father was praising him? Lin Feng shook his head. Father, this is what I should do. There was silence, and the atmosphere was a little oppressive. Lin Feng only felt stuffy in his chest. Looking at his father, Lin Xiaotian, he felt a sense of oppression in his heart. Suddenly, Lin Xiaotian let out a long sigh. The distant sound was like a sound from the sky. Lin Feng couldn't help but clench his fists tightly. He looked up and saw that. His father turned his head and stared at him with his dark and deep eyes. Lin Feng was greatly shocked. That feeling was just like the first time he'd met Ziyao. No, it was even more terrifying. Ziyao's eyes were as bright as stars, making people lose themselves. But his father's eyes were like a black hole that could swallow everything. Annihilation. Fenger, do something for me. Lin Xiaotian said in a deep voice. Father, please instruct me. Lin Feng's forehead was drenched in cold sweat. Lin Xiaotian looked at Lin Feng, and his eyes flashed with a light of approval. He said slowly, by the Lin family village. Lin Feng stared blankly for a moment before nodding. Okay, Dad, go out. Lin Xiaotian turned his head and said lightly. Yes, Father, Lin Feng replied. With that, Lin Feng left the room with light steps. Lin Feng closed the door with a thump. Lin Feng couldn't help but let out a long sigh and smile bitterly. Suddenly, he realized that his back was completely drenched in sweat. Dad, you're so strong. Lin Feng sighed. His heart was in turmoil, and he couldn't calm down. His father, Lin Xiaotian, was definitely a terrifying existence. Even though he had lost his legs, the aura he emitted was enough to suffocate people. In fact, Lin Xiaotian might not even be able to stand on his own two legs. Lin Feng felt that as long as his father wanted, his eyes could kill people. But why does father want me to buy the Lin family village? Lin Feng frowned slightly, but he couldn't figure out the reason. Nostalgia? It didn't seem like it. Revenge? Even more impossible. Shaking his head, Lin Feng had no clue. Just like his father, who was mysterious and unfathomable. Even the task he gave was full of question marks. Why are you thinking so much? Father naturally has his reasons for doing this. Lin Feng nodded. Anyway, I just need to complete the task, but I don't know how much the Lin family village is worth. And where should I buy it? With a smile, Lin Feng suddenly realized that he seemed to know too little about the Tianwu continent. I don't know if brother knows. Lin Feng thought and walked over. By the Lin family village? Lin Yun was stunned. Lin Feng nodded and smiled. Yes, I'm not familiar with this. Lin Yun smiled and didn't ask much. He said, among the 4 major powers in the Tianwu continent, the sects occupy one of them. Although they sell the land within their sphere of influence, they only sell the right to use it, not the ownership. The current ownership of the Lin family village should be in the hands of the patriarch, Lin Xianglong. Lin Feng softly nodded, understanding his brother's meaning. He was telling him that buying the Lin family village was only buying the right to use the land. So, if I want to buy the Lin family village, I have to find Lin Xianglong. Lin Feng frowned. Seeing his brother, Lin Yun, nodding with a smile, he couldn't help but click his tongue, and his expression became serious. This matter was a little tricky because of his relationship with Lin Xianglong. Not good. He killed Lin Nanhu and caused Lin Xianglong to lose his position as the deacon of the Qihua Martial Hall. This enmity had long been formed. Although Lin Yun was blind, his state of mind was clear. He suddenly smiled and said, Actually, brother, you don't have to do it yourself. Huh? Lin Feng's eyes lit up, and he suddenly understood. Yes, why didn't he think of such a simple method? Lin Feng smiled lightly, and his right fist hit the palm of his left hand. He had dug a dead end himself. 6th floor of the villa, cultivation room. Lin Feng left all the white armor, titanium energy suit, and fluorescent compass here. At home, he didn't need to be fully armed. He opened the fluorescent compass and opened the communication channel. Soon, a row of very few communication messages appeared on the circular interface. Ziyao, Qin Hua, Qin Lai, Lu Qianlihan, Qin Ro, Wang Hao. Other than the members of the Fiery Arrow Squad, there weren't many people. Lin Feng didn't have many friends. The leader and deputy leader are excluded, and Ziyao is even more impossible. In the Fiery Arrow Squad, I have the best relationship with Brother Bull. I could have asked him, but Lin Feng sighed softly. Sister Qian is in seclusion, and Qin Ro is too young. As for Wang Hao, Lin Feng shook his head. In the Fiery Arrow Squad, the one who had the coldest relationship with him was Wang Hao. Do I really have to trouble Sister Qian or Qin Ro? Lin Feng smiled bitterly, but he didn't know how to open his mouth. Just as he was hesitating, suddenly, Lin Feng turned to the last line of the communication message, and he saw a familiar yet strange name. Meng Fei. Oh, Lin Feng's eyes lit up, and he suddenly remembered that the two of them had an ordinary encounter at Lin Jie's wedding. Out of courtesy, he exchanged communication information with one of the three giants of Qihua Town, so they had some history. Meng Fei is the president of the Tianwu Chamber of Commerce in Qihua Town. Maybe he's good at this, Lin Feng murmured and immediately dialed Meng Fei's communicator. Beep, beep, a few long sounds rang. It seemed that he was busy. Lin Feng wasn't in a hurry and waited slowly. Sure enough, in less than half an hour, the fluorescent compass lit up. Hello, is this Brother Lin? Meng Fei's voice seemed a little excited. Lin Feng listened and couldn't help but smile. Hello, President Meng. It's really Brother Lin, Brother Lin. Oh my God, I'm sorry for the delay, Meng Fei said apologetically. It's okay, Lin Feng said slowly. I have something to trouble you with, President Meng. It's no trouble at all, Meng Fei said. Meng Fei hurriedly said, Brother Lin, if there's anything you need, just say it. As long as I, Meng Fei, am able to help you to the best of my ability. Lin Feng smiled. From the sound of his voice, he could almost see Meng Fei patting his chest. It's like this. I want to buy the Lin village. I wonder if President Meng has any way to help me? This. The other side of the communicator hesitated for a moment. Lin Feng suddenly understood. He blamed himself for being careless and causing Meng Fei to misunderstand. He immediately smiled and said, President Meng, please don't misunderstand. Just tell me how many Tianwu coins you need. I just have a small conflict with Lin Xianglong. Understood, understood, Meng Fei said. Meng Fei hurriedly replied. His laughter was a little awkward. 3 days? No, 2 days. This Meng will definitely help you settle this matter. Then I'll have to trouble you, President Meng. Lin Feng nodded and said with a smile. He didn't need to pay attention to the process. With Meng Fei's connections, he could definitely handle this matter flawlessly. He just needed to wait for the good news. The Independent Villa area, number 8. Big brother, have you heard about the rocket squad? Qinlai asked. Yes, I just came back. Qinhua smiled and nodded. Lu Qin has improved a lot since last year. Now, she can even kill the Xuanhu lizard. Not bad, not bad. Qinlai hesitated and whispered, Big brother, from Ruer's tone, it doesn't seem like Lu Qian killed it. Not Lu Qian? Qinhua was stunned. Impossible. Han You's strength is far from enough. Wang Hao and Ruru are even more impossible, and Lin Feng. Qinhua's eyes suddenly flashed and looked directly at Qinlai. You're saying the Xuanhu lizard was killed by Lin Feng? Qinlai's face was solemn. It seems to be the case. Moreover, in addition to the Xuanhu lizard, the rocket squad also hunted a gray-toothed tiger. A mid-level gray-toothed tiger? Qinhua's eyes gleamed coldly. After a pause, he suddenly looked up to the sky and laughed. Obviously, the gray-toothed tiger was far beyond Lu Qian's ability to withstand. This kind of fast reaction and strong attack magic beast was a long-range attacker's nightmare. Big brother? Qinlai was stunned. Lin Feng, I guessed correctly. Qinhua's expression was full of satisfaction as he looked at Qinlai. You and I really don't have enough foresight, far from Miss Xiao's discerning eyes. Lin Feng's speed of improvement is faster than we imagined. After a pause, Qinhua said again, All right, what else did Ruru say? Qinlai shook his head. Nothing. After returning, Ruru locked herself in the cultivation room and didn't come out for a day and night. Oh, Qinhua smiled. Our Ruru's personality changed? I don't know. Qinlai helplessly scratched his head. All right, big brother, is that little guy Wang Hao still outside? Wang Hao, Qinhua nodded and said in surprise. Oh, he seems to be still here. Did something happen? Qin Lai smiled. He seems to have confessed to Ruru. Oh. In front of the villa, Wang Hao's face was ashen as he stood there with his lips tightly pursed. His gaze occasionally glanced at the villa's door with anticipation, but more than that, it was a deep sense of loss and discomfort. If one looked closely, his fists had long been clenched so tightly that there were even traces of blood. One day and one night, he was just like a clown. Chinro, do you really have to be so ruthless? Wang Hao bit his lips so hard that blood seeped out. Why? Why? Wang Hao's fist landed on a towering tree. His eyes were filled with deep resentment. I waited for you for 2 years, chased after you for 2 years, listened to you, and accompanied you in everything. How could you be so cruel? Wang Hao's face was a little twisted as he said, hatefully, I know, it's Lin Feng. From the moment he appeared, I knew that you must have fallen in love with him. That bastard, that bastard. Wang Hao's hands clawed at his hair, his eyes revealing a ferocious light as if he had made a decision. I can't have you, but I won't let him have you either. Lin Feng, he deserves to die, he deserves to die. Rolling around begging for a recommendation vote. Thank you for your support, Carrot Carrot. Chapter 67. Brother Chun, I want information from the Hunters Union. Wang Hao lowered his head and said, Oh, the man named Brother Chen's eyes lit up. Junior brother Wang Hao, you found your prey? No. Wang Hao shook his head and forced a smile. I'm asking for a friend. Really? Brother Chen smiled and didn't ask any more questions. 1,000 Tian Wu coins. So expensive? Wang Hao was shocked. The corners of Brother Chen's lips curled up, and he gave a faint smile. There was a type of person who had a wide range of connections. Nothing in the Tianwu continent could escape their eyes. This type of person was called know-it-all. They made a living by selling information. Wang Hao turned on his communicator and dialed an unknown number. DD, Wang Hao's hands trembled. This was the information he bought for 1,000 Tian Wu coins. It was very expensive. Hello, this is the Hunters Union. A deep and cold voice came from the communicator. I have a prey to provide. Wang Hao bit his lips and paused. His eyes were filled with jealousy. According to your rules, I can get 10% of the value of the prey? Yes. The voice was still cold. Wang Hao swallowed his saliva and took a deep breath. He gritted his teeth and said, Lin Feng, male, disciple of the Firmament Sun Martial School, Fire Spirit Master. Soon, Wang Hao told him everything he knew about Lin Feng. The other end of the communication device was incomparably quiet, as if it was cold and empty, causing Wang Hao to feel slightly uneasy. After a while, the voice said, The information is not complete. The value of the prey is tentatively set at 4 stars. 4 star? Wang Hao's heart was faintly excited. The highest value of the prey in the Hunters Union was 10 stars, and the lowest was 1 star. 4 stars was in the middle. 4 stars, elemental fire seed. If I can get 10% of the profit, I will be rich. Ha ha ha. Wang Hao was overjoyed. At this time, the voice came again. Mr. Wang Hao, we will investigate carefully. After the mission, we will contact you again. In addition, if the information is not true, or the prey does not exist at all, the consequences will be at your own risk. His voice was very calm, but Wang Hao felt a chill run down his spine. Just like what Brother Chun had told him, the Hunters League was ruthless. They treated their prey that way, but to him, it was the same. Okay. Wang Hao nodded and ended the call. He wasn't worried, because this wasn't a baseless rumor. Lin Feng's identity as a fire spirit master. He had seen it with his own eyes, so how could it be fake? Lin Feng, don't blame me for being heartless. Wang Hao's face twisted. As long as you die, Rower will return to my side. Yes, that's right, that's it. Anyway, the Silver Wolf is still on the run. No one will suspect me. Wang Hao's eyes shone brightly. He had indeed planned everything out. He laughed savagely, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Nothing could be better. If you want to blame someone, You can only blame yourself for being too ostentatious. Some people had an indomitable spirit. They did things openly and with a clear conscience. Some people were born with wild ambitions. Their hearts were filled with too much negativity and darkness. Wang Hao had completely forgotten who was the one who had saved his life. Lin Feng didn't know that he had been betrayed by his close comrade. At this moment, he locked himself in the cultivation room and trained hard. Talent was important, but Lin Feng's unyielding character and his persistence and hard work from a young age had laid a firm foundation for his current strength. Huh, huh. In the sealed cultivation room, there were occasional shouts and the sound of the leaping dragon's spear swinging out. Lin Feng was sweating profusely. The leaping dragon spear in his hand was like a snake. His movements were smooth and natural, sometimes heavy, sometimes light, sometimes fast, sometimes slow. Chi, chi. The sound of the spear was sharp. Lin Feng's eyes were burning. Although his body was already soaked in sweat, he didn't care at all. If it was visible to the naked eye, it could be seen that every time Lin Feng executed a spear move, the Yuan Li in the air would be absorbed by a large margin. A transparent stream of energy would enter his body. Lin Feng had an advantage that no one else had: unlimited physical strength. If a martial artist of the same level continuously executed spear moves with all their strength, they would be exhausted after an hour. However, Lin Feng had already practiced for a full 6 hours, and it still hadn't stopped. The Yuan fire in his body was being absorbed and replenished at every moment. Lin Feng also realized that while his physical strength was being exhausted, the absorption of Yuan fire seemed to be faster. The stronger his body was, the faster the absorption of Yuan fire was. Lin Feng didn't know that this was because of the intense training that caused the cells in his body to be constantly active. In particular, the Firmament Spear art emphasized the movement of the body as a whole, causing the cells to be filled with vitality. Naturally, the absorption of Yuan fire would increase. But whether he knew or not, was it important? Huff, huff, gasping for air, Lin Feng picked up the water bottle on the ground and drank it in one gulp. Although physical strength could be continuously replenished, the loss of water was real. As expected, the more I practice Firmament Spear art, the harder it is to comprehend it. Lin Feng shook his head. I was able to comprehend the third style of the third layer, flash of flowing light, very quickly. However, the fourth style butterfly dance is really difficult, especially that strike and tremble. I was still unable to comprehend its essence. Exhaling a long breath, Lin Feng threw the water bottle to the side. Holding the leaping dragon spear in his hand, his eyes were filled with contemplation. Maybe, no, it should be related to the foundation of spear arts. As the saying goes, years of fist, months of staff training, and years of spear training. Lin Feng clearly understood that spear training wasn't something that could be done overnight. Foundation of Spear Arts says that no matter how complicated a spear art is, it can't escape from the 18 basic movements of blocking, grabbing, and stabbing. Although I have been practicing the spear since I was young, most of the movements I practiced were stabbing, collapsing, pointing, piercing, chopping, and stabbing. I didn't touch much on the blocking and grabbing movements. When he was young, Lin Feng practiced this stabbing movement in addition to his spear training. In fact, most of the warriors were like this. Blocking is for defense and grabbing is for control. It's indispensable. Lin Feng thought to himself. After comprehending the Firmament Spear art for so many days, Lin Feng was deeply moved. Whenever it involved the stabbing movement, he would always be able to quickly find the trick and comprehend it. This was the reason why he could imitate the flash of flowing light when he didn't understand the Firmament Spear art at the beginning. However, whenever it involved the blocking and grabbing movements, he would always inexplicably stop. When one path doesn't work, maybe I can try another path. Lin Feng nodded and put down the Firmament Spear art. He took out the foundation of spear arts and studied it carefully. Yes, that's right. Yes, the arm here needs to maintain a small bend. After reading the foundation of spear arts again, Lin Feng had a new feeling. Indeed, after practicing the profound spear arts for a long time, unknowingly, a lot of old things would be mastered through a comprehensive study. Reviewing the old and learning the new, it was originally possible to have a new understanding. Not to mention, the foundation of spear arts was the origin of all spear moves 2 hours later. Gently closing the book, Lin Feng slowly closed his eyes. When I used the stabbing move, the strength of my arm was not strong enough, and the degree of my body's rotation was not enough. When I used the shaking move, I paid too much attention to the strength of my wrist. In fact, it should be images after images appeared in his mind. Lin Feng let out a deep breath. His eyelashes moved slightly, as if he was comprehending the essence of each movement. In a split second, Lin Feng opened his eyes, which shone brightly. He picked up the leaping dragon spear, and with a clang, he moved. 1 day later, inside the training room, the sound of gunfire could be heard. The long spear in Lin Feng's hand was like a dancing butterfly. It pierced the air and feigned an attack. However, it turned around and gently shook. A few afterimages of the spear were drawn in front of him. It felt as if there were several leaping dragon spears moving in front of him at the same time. It was hard to tell which was real and which was fake. At this moment, Lin Feng's hand shook. Chi! He stood with one hand holding the spear. His right arm was completely straight, and the leaping dragon spear was at a 90-degree angle. It was as if the spear was one with his body. Yes, that's the feeling. Lin Feng smiled faintly and withdrew his spear from the stance. I've almost comprehended the fourth move, butterfly dance. I feel that it's about time. Lin Feng sighed. The foundation is really important. I'm still not skilled enough in blocking and taking. In the future, I'll have to spend some time to practice again. Lin Feng clearly understood that there was no shortcut to practicing the spear. The only way was to practice hard. Stretching his body, Lin Feng put down the leaping dragon spear. He glanced at the fluorescent compass not far away and murmured, I wonder if there's any news about President Meng? Turning on the fluorescent compass, Lin Feng heard a soft beep. He couldn't help but smile. Sure enough, there was a message from Meng Fei. Lin Feng immediately dialed Meng Fei's number. Beep! A soft beep was heard. Brother Lin, good news, good news. Meng Fei was very happy on the other side of the communication device. Lin Feng smiled. Just by hearing this voice, he knew that Meng Fei didn't disappoint. You've already bought it? Lin Feng asked. Yes, to prevent Lin Xianglong from going back on his word. I've already signed the purchase contract and completed the payment. Meng Fei smiled. If Lin Xianglong wants to go back on his word, he'll have to pay 10 times the amount immediately. Brother Lin, when will you be free? I'll make an appointment with Lin Xianglong to complete the transaction. Lin Feng smiled. Meng Fei was indeed very experienced. He did things flawlessly and efficiently. In 2 hours, I'll see you at Chihua Town's Hall. Lin Feng said. The Lin family village belonged to Chihua Town. The transaction of the land was at Chihua Town's Hall. No problem. Meng Fei smiled. When Lin Xianglong sees you, Brother Lin, he'll be very surprised. Surprised? Lin Feng smiled. He'll probably be furious. Please recommend me. Chapter 68. The Chihua Town Hall was located in the center of Chihua Town. It was next to the Chihua Martial Hall and the Tianwu Chamber of Commerce. It was the heart of Chihua Town. It had jurisdiction over everything, including identity registration, house purchase, land transfer, etc. When Lin Feng moved to Chihua Town, Captain Luo had bought an independent house here. However, Lin Feng had never been here before. President Meng, may I know, which senior is this buyer? Lin Xianglong asked carefully. You'll find out soon enough. Meng Fei adjusted his posture and replied indifferently. Oh. Lin Xianglong replied quickly. He did not dare to be careless. If Meng Fei was so respectful, the buyer must be someone extraordinary. Now that he had lost his position as the Martial Hall's deacon, his status had plummeted. Life was full of ups and downs. I'll have to curry favor with that senior later. Lin Xianglong thought to himself. He's definitely not an ordinary martial grandmaster if he can take out 1750 martial coins so easily. Lin Xianglong knew that it was not easy for a junior martial grandmaster to earn money. He's coming. Meng Fei's face was full of smiles. Lin Xianglong hurriedly tidied his clothes and followed Meng Fei's gaze. Not far away, a young man in martial attire was walking toward them. Lin Feng. Lin Xianglong was stunned. From afar, Lin Feng had already seen Meng Fei and that familiar face. In the past, Lin Xianglong was like a tall mountain that he could not see the peak of. Lin Xianglong was someone he worshipped and respected. His goal was to become as strong as Lin Xianglong one day. But now, what a pity. Lin Feng sighed. To be honest, he did not hate Lin Xianglong. However, because of Lin Nanhu, he and Lin Xianglong were enemies. After the battle at the Qihua Martial Hall, Lin Feng knew that there was no room for reconciliation between him and Lin Xianglong. Since that was the case, there was no need for him to be nice to Lin Xianglong. President Ming. Lin Feng smiled as he went forward to welcome him. At this moment, quite a number of people had already gathered in the surroundings. All of them were curiously inquiring about the background of this young man in front of them. He was actually able to make one of the three heads of Qihua Town, Meng Fei, line the streets to welcome him. No. Lin Xianglong was shocked. He shook his head and looked at Meng Fei. President Ming, could the buyer be? Meng Fei smiled and patted Lin Xianglong's shoulder. Xianglong, come here. Lin Feng, you know him. He is the one who bought the Lin family village. Lin Xianglong to be. 2. But I won't sell it to Lin. Twos of God. Lin Feng had killed his son and caused him to lose his position as a deacon. Now Lin Xianglong now to his. Not a chance. Lin Feng smiled. He knew that Lin Xianglong wouldn't sell the Lin family village to him. Sure enough, Lin Xianglong was furious. But if he were in Lin Xianglong's shoes, he wouldn't do the same. Xianglong. Meng Fei frowned. How can you go back on your words? You said you wanted to sell Lin Xianglong. That's why I helped you. Now, you're saying one thing and doing another, and you're raising the price accordingly. Where am I, Meng Fei? Suppose I put my face. Lin Xianglong's face turned red. No, it's not like that. President Meng, I didn't raise the price. You misunderstood. I don't care if you misunderstood. Meng Fei snorted. He took out the contract and waved it. You have to sell it today. Even if you don't want to, you have to. Unless you compensate Brother Lin Feng with 17,500 Tian Wu coins. Lin Xianglong was speechless. If he had money, why would he sell Lin Xianglong? Seeing Lin Xianglong suffer in silence, Lin Feng couldn't help but smile. Lin Feng looked at Meng Fei and saw two small eyes blinking at him. He nodded. This Meng Fei did have some skills. Let's go, Xianglong. Actually, it doesn't matter who you sell. Brother Lin Feng won't owe you a copper coin. Meng Fei patted Lin Xianglong and sighed. It's my fault. I didn't think it through. How about this? I won't charge you. Lin Xianglong clenched his teeth and glared at Lin Feng. His eyes were filled with hatred. He could only follow Meng Fei inside. He had no choice but to follow. Lin Feng followed them indifferently. He didn't care about Lin Xianglong's gaze. That day at Qihua Martial Hall, he was able to beat Lin Xianglong. Now, as a high-rank martial warrior, how could he be afraid of him? After passing through the registration area on the first floor, the three of them entered a room on the second floor. Lin Feng didn't know how to handle the procedures, but with Meng Fei here, he didn't need to worry about it. After a while, Meng Fei took care of the miscellaneous procedures. He only needed to press a few fingerprints and fill in some identification information. After a quarter of an hour, it was all done. Looking at Lin Xianglong's angry and hateful face, Lin Feng thought it was fine. If he didn't ask Meng Fei for help, it wouldn't be so easy to complete the task his father gave him. Lin Xianglong's hatred for him was far greater than he imagined. You're good, Lin Feng. After the handover was completed, Lin Xianglong gave Lin Feng a thumbs up. He nodded with a cold expression, forcefully suppressing his rage. Lin Xianglong sighed heavily. He seemed to be depressed and cupped his hands at Meng Fei. Goodbye, President Meng. And Meng Fei replied indifferently. Looking at Lin Xianglong's furious back, Lin Feng glanced at Meng Fei. The two of them couldn't help but smile. Thank you, President Meng. Lin Feng took out a silver card and handed it to Meng Fei. Here are 2,000 days of martial coins. Take the extra as a small token of my appreciation. You're too polite, Brother Lin. Meng Fei was overwhelmed by the unexpected favor. He accepted the silver card after some hesitation. An amiable smile appeared on his plump face. Actually, this is just a small matter. What makes me the happiest is that I can make a friend like Brother Lin. Lin Feng nodded. He naturally wouldn't take Meng Fei's words too seriously. However, in a sense, there was no harm in having a few more friends. Holding the golden token in his hand that represented the owner of the Lin village, Lin Feng showed a satisfied smile on his face. Bastard! Walking out of Chihua Town's hall, Lin Xianglong cursed angrily. Although he was confused by Meng Fei's words at first, he calmed down and thought about it carefully after coming out. Lin Xianglong immediately understood. He had been fooled. Lin Xianglong was the head of a family and had been a deacon of Chihua Martial Hall for more than 10 years. He had a lot of experience. However, even if he knew, there was nothing he could do. Could it be that he had to compensate Lin Feng 10 times the price just to vent his anger? Lin Feng, you can be proud for now. Lin Xianglong's eyes were bright. Compared to Lin Nanhu's impatience and aggressiveness, Lin Xianglong was more like a hidden poisonous snake. He would wait for his prey to relax before launching a fatal attack. My strength is already close to that of a beginner martial grandmaster. Lin Xianglong's eyes shone with a cold light. With this money and what I have accumulated over the years, I will be able to join a 4-star hunter team. At that time, Lin Xianglong clenched his fists tightly, revealing his killing intent. Lin Feng, I will make you pay 10 times the price for my son's death. Xiaoyang City, Independent Villa District. After returning from Chihua Town, Lin Feng immediately rushed home to tell his father the good news. Although he had spent 2,000 days of martial coins, it was just a drop in the bucket for him now. Knock, knock. Lin Feng gently knocked on the door. Come in. The voice of his father, Lin Xiaotian, sounded. Pushing the door open, Lin Feng immediately saw his father, Lin Xiaotian, sitting on a rattan chair with a blanket in front of him, quietly reading a book. His expression was still calm, but in Lin Feng's eyes, there seemed to be something more. Yes, it felt different. In the past, his father gave him the feeling of depression and dullness. But now, it was as if he had lifted a layer of cloth that had always been covering him. Maybe this is my real father, Lin Feng muttered. Gently closing the book, Lin Xiaoyan's dark eyes looked at Lin Feng. Is it done? Yes, father. Lin Feng stepped forward and placed the golden token that symbolized the master of the Lin village on the table. His eyes glanced at the book that his father placed on the table, and he could not help but let out a soft. The inconspicuous grayish-black book looked very old, but for some reason, Lin Feng felt that it was very mysterious. His father never read books. Do you like it? Lin Xiaotian said indifferently. Lin Feng smiled and scratched his head, but did not know what to say. Take it. Lin Xiaotian's expression was calm. Lin Feng was slightly taken aback. Then, he carefully took the grayish-black book. It was very light and thin, as if it was weightless. Remember, Feng you can only read the first 3 pages. Lin Xiaoyan's eyes flickered, and instantly, Lin Feng looked into his father's eyes and suddenly seemed to see a layer of a dark world. His body seemed to be out of control, and cold sweat oozed from his forehead. He immediately nodded and replied, Yes, father. Go out. Lin Xiaotian closed his eyes. In an instant, Lin Feng let out a long breath, and the pressure on his body was released. Holding the book that was as light as a feather, he felt that it weighed 1,000 pounds. Immediately, he showed a bitter smile. Next time, I can't look into Father's eyes. This feeling is too scary. Shaking his head, Lin Feng gently pushed the door open and left. Thank you for your continuous support. Thank you. Please recommend me again that you're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.